Yo.
Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 188.
188, season 2.
Episode
Yeah.
3?
Something.
I don't know. Season 3? Episode 4? Sorry,
Right.
Season 2, episode 3, 4? I don't know.
Who knows?
We don't even know. We don't even keep track of it ourselves. So it's been a little bit since we did a pod. The first one was the eve. Was it the eve?
Yeah, the night
D4?
before Christmas.
Yep. It was the night before D4 and all through the house. Yeah, let's talk about some stuff first, but you wanna hit the poll, and then I want to talk about that mustache. Let's talk about the poll first.
Hang on, let me bring chat up to a place I can see it. Sorry, it's been a minute.
While you're doing that, what's up with this Top Gun stash?
Why not? Right? So I can't really change up my hair because I have scars on my head. So it's like the only thing I can really do is sort of change up my face. So it's just I did this once back in May. And what I really tried let me know your thoughts on this. Okay. So what I try to convey with the stash is that I don't want you to hit on me, and I don't want to be in a relationship with anyone, but I also want everybody to know I'm there to have a good time and have fun. I sort of feel like this is what that conveys.
This stash says that. Okay. Yeah, man. I'm with you. It's giving me Goose vibes from Top Gun, But
hey, you can be my wingman any day.
Hey, but I like it. It's fitting. I think it fits your personality, if I'm being honest. I think you can, of all the people, I think you can pull it off.
Wow.
Man. I think you can rock it.
Wow.
So I give it a thumbs up.
Damn.
Keep it.
I would reciprocate and be like, well, you can pull off corn rolls, but you just can't.
Yeah.
So
I mean, listen, sometimes you just try stuff. If you're new to the pod and you're Fluff and I went to the lake, and took a little trip, boys getaway, and I had long hair at the time and I just braided it. So
yeah,
I think Fluff calls it corn rolls.
That's also when I figured out it's called corn rows. Which makes way more sense. I thought it was corn rolls.
Oh man.
Yeah. Not my finest hour. Yeah.
Let's so what poll did we have for D4 prior to? Let's get into that, and then we'll jump into
actually let me
what
find
we've
that.
been doing and all this stuff.
I've tweeted since then. Let me find the original tweet.
The OG tweet. It was probably
here. It is.
With class.
Yeah. Let me pull up the screen. Bing, bang, boom. Perfect. Okay, new meta podcast question of the week from the night before Diablo. Did you take time off for Diablo 4?
Right.
Option 1, hell yes. Option 2, no. Option 3, maybe season 1. Option 4, maybe when there's a leaderboard. And coming in at 56.2% of the vote, people said hell yes.
Interesting.
Number 2, no, was 35%. 8.8% said maybe season 1, and literally 0% of people said maybe when there's a leaderboard.
Nobody cares about leaderboard.
Oh, pretty good turnout.
I did not take time off.
The hell no! My Chrome just. Okay, thank God I can restore. I was like, God, I have so many tabs open. Oh no, but my poll's gone. All right, you talk for a second. God damn it. That's some bullshit. I've never seen that happen.
Chrome crashed, man. It has been a while since the browser went down.
Jesus.
Yeah, I didn't take time off. I don't think I did. Did I take Friday off? I can't even remember.
You did
now.
take Friday off. I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right. I think I did take Friday off. I did not take Thursday off, which was the official launch, because it didn't launch until 5 or 6 p.m. But I didn't take the next week off. So I had Thursday night and then Friday off, Saturday, Sunday. And then Monday I went back and did my thing. I was potentially going to take Monday and Tuesday off if I was, feeling the need, but
yeah,
I personally didn't. So
I need 2 more pulls in here.
Okay, finishing the poll. Got it. But it was interesting results.
Yeah,
I do know a lot of people that did take the entire week off, and
I did too. I did. I took the entire next week off.
Talk about their regrets later.
No,
Did you regret?
Yeah.
Did you regret?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
right.
We're gonna have a lot to say, and I want to be clear before we start diving into. We got a whole bunch of bullet points and things we're gonna discuss, and we're obviously gonna have opinions, and it's probably gonna feel like at times that we're just being super negative, but I promise there's a rhyme and a reason.
We haven't colluded at all. Fluff and I haven't talked. We haven't really talked at all since the podcast we did before launch.
I think I sent you a DM one time to be like, dude, where you at? And you're like, blah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, you gave me shit, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, We'll bring that now up. I remember why I gave you shit.
Do you remember? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, and I was like, block. Just block.
Yeah. Block. Fair. But yeah, so the new meta podcast question for next week, go ahead and tweet this out now, is Diablo 4 post-launch. What are your thoughts? Option 1, everything I dreamed. Option 2, good, but needs work. Option 3, meh, disappointed. And option 4, of course, dog shit is.
Dog shit is.
Go ahead and tweet that out, or you guys can go vote.
Yep. Vote for it. Let us know what you think. I don't know if my opinion's in the minority or majority. I don't know.
Oh, wow. So you already know where you're at on this board, huh?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Okay,
yeah. My vote would be easy.
Okay. Well, let's not fuck around anymore.
We talked last, the day of, if we thought launch was going to be smooth or super rocky. I was like, nope. The WoW teams nailed it. They know how to launch a title. My launch personally was extremely smooth. How about you?
Yeah, I think so. We were both right, by the way. So you predicted that it would be silky smooth, and I predicted there'd be fuckery and we wouldn't be able to play it for 10 hours or whatever. And so on early release, you were 100% right. It was silky smooth, smooth as butter, blah, blah, blah. Actual release, I was right. And it was dog shit, and it was down for 8 hours or whatever. And
was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember being down for 8 hours. It could have been though.
It was people were literally just stuck in the login queue for 10 fucking hours. And
I think I was in. I think I was maybe one of the lucky people that got to play
on the actual whole time.
Release. I don't remember being down on release, but there was so much. I was pretty out of it at that point. I played a lot and I had a lot, going on, and I just don't remember, to be honest. It's been too long now.
I'm just gonna put up some gameplay while we chat about the.
Yeah, so I think launch was pretty smooth for the early release. If you spent $20 to play 3 or 4 days early, whatever it was.
Yeah, $20.
Pretty scummy, but we're all gonna do it.
Just the way it is.
Other games are already following suit with that now.
Wow, so it's not like Blizzard was the first,
Blizzard wasn't the first,
yeah.
But I think they're pushing it to the norm. I think it's going to be the norm now. Yeah. I think every game will do this.
Yeah.
Because they were so successful in it. I think that Madden's doing it this year. I'm not a big Madden player. No. My son loves Madden. I don't play it. Yeah. But it's same thing. Same thing for Madden. 4-day early access if you buy the deluxe edition.
Yeah.
It's not even pre-order now. It's got to buy. Give us more money. We'll give you early access.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but let's start deep diving, right?
Okay.
We already talked about really whatever, the game was smooth and then it wasn't smooth, whatever. Okay. So let's for the next, we'll just say 5 minutes. For those of you watching on YouTube, there's will be timestamps, but option or topic number 1 is campaign. So there will be spoilers here again. If you guys haven't completed it yet, you're crazy.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing with your life? But what did you think? So I actually watched cutscenes, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Indeed.
Wow.
It's worth it.
It must have been a good campaign,
then. So what are your thoughts? What did you think of the campaign? What did you think of the story?
Okay, so I didn't read all the quest text. I didn't listen to all of the dialogue, right?
Well, okay.
But I did watch any cinematic that popped up.
Okay, the in-game cinematics too.
The in-game cinematics too, and the video, and the FMVs, the rendered cinematics. I watched all of them. They were good. I thought the in-game cinematic at the end of the game, try to be a little spoiler free. I can't imagine you haven't beat it yet, but anybody watching, The in-game cinematic.
Nah, we're not going to be spoiler free because we're going to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I think the in-game cinematic was the best one Blizzard's ever produced.
For sure.
I mean, without a doubt, it beats any other cinematic they've made on any game, hands down. It was badass.
It was.
The story you could piece together pretty well just by skipping a lot of the little smaller dialogue scenes and just getting the big story. The campaign itself, to me, was just meh. Yeah. I think the cinematics were amazing. Their cinematic team always kills it. The writing, my complaints with it was your character didn't have a lot of dialogue and seemed to be kind of foolish,
surprised,
foolish, surprised, and weak. Like at the beginning, you're like this weak little fragile thing that's dying in a cave, like 10 feet from town, and then within, I don't know, 15 minutes, you're like some badass sorceress or whatever class you pick, just smoking everything. Like what? I didn't feel connected to the character. Mm-hmm. I do think there were parts of the story that were kind of cool. The girl that you followed around, whose name I forgot already, was kind of annoying to me personally. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this and run off. Like, I have the crystal. I'm out of here. Peace. And it's just like, wait, what?
That was right. Yeah. Woo. Plot holes for sure for me. I agree that end game scene was cool. It was good CG, but like
it was hella
at
good
the
CG,
same time, like I felt like when she was like taking out an Arias, it had like no weight, like because we didn't really know, like we had interacted with an Arias like twice at that point.
Yeah, I'm with you.
What?
I feel like a lot of games do this where your character is like naive and weak and kind of stupid at times, but still supposed to be this badass. And I feel like Witcher is one of the few games that's done it right, where in the Witcher series, you're a badass all the time. Like you go into a scenario and if there's a bad guy, you're stone cold, you talk shit, you're badass, you're smart, you're intelligent, you see things coming, and they can still write a story that your character isn't this fragile person. And I think they do that to try to like, this is the journey. You start weak and then at the end you're strong. And it's like, I don't know. It was okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hate the campaign experience though. Just I think the story was a little bit not, something that I cared about too much, but the campaign experience was fine once. Just once.
Yeah.
I don't ever think I'll play through it again unless I'm forced to.
Yeah, you won't be, but I agree. So also I feel like here's the thing, right? So like I do feel like Anarius dying is like permanent, but again, like it didn't really have any value because like we didn't really know who Anarius was. I don't feel like they did a good job of explaining like the whole history there. We do know it because like, we played the fucking shit out of Diablo and we know like what his lore is all about or whatever, but I felt that was pretty empty. But I also feel like, okay, so we kill, we quote unquote kill Lilith at the end, but like I don't know. Is she just gonna fucking respawn like they always do? Like I just don't. I could see Anarius not respawning because like the angels were like, we don't fucking want you, right? So like maybe he's dead, but like Lilith just like repop. I don't know. So it just felt like
I felt like her engagement in the story wasn't really there either. Like we chased her the whole story, right? Like we're chasing behind her and trying to catch her. I don't know. It just felt like she was always distant. It felt like it was always like she's not really there. Like it was just okay. I don't know. I don't know how else to put it other than I feel it was kind of what I expected. It's kind of felt a lot like D3's campaign too. I don't feel like Diablo 3's campaign was anything spectacular. It was on the same writing level and storytelling level that Diablo 3's campaign was. With just badass cinematics.
But what I will say,
teams to just make movies.
What I will say about Diablo 3's campaign is that, and I know you are going to agree with this, is like, so obviously this campaign was like super fucking easy. And like you could go through World Tier 1 just to just fly through it. And like, but I'm looking back on the Diablo 3 campaign, like there's nothing story-wise that I'm like, wow, that was great. But there are definitely moments where I'm like, I will never forget that. Like I will never forget fighting Belial and just getting fucking stuck because he was kicking my ass.
He stomped us, right? Yeah. And And
there's nothing memorable like that.
I did the campaign on World Tier 2 out of the gate. I never lowered it the whole time. I don't even know. I might have died a couple times to like one shots. I think the first death I actually had was on Lilith at the end. I think Lilith killed me like once or twice until I learned her mechanics on World Tier 2. But that was it. So as far as difficulty goes, I played Sorceress. Sorceress was pretty easy. I mean, it's pretty OP for leveling, I felt. I don't know if that was the play looking back. I don't think the experience bonus was worth the extra time it took me to kill shit.
Right.
But I just did it for fun. That being said, you're right. I never got stuck on a boss. There was never a Belial check where it's like, oh, you need to go level up, or you need to go do some side quests, or you need to do this or that.
Yeah. Someone said Duriel was hard. No, he wasn't. He was not even memorable. I know he's the guy that, like, he's the slug guy. You know, he could eat you during the fight or whatever, but he was hella easy. Like, not memorable whatsoever.
Yeah, I thought he was a little mini boss. I didn't think he was a thing.
Yeah, I thought that was like should have been a big moment, because he's like he's one of the greater evils. Like, that should have been like, oh shit, we're fighting Duriel.
The only thing I remember about that is that the camera glitched out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only thing I remember about that fight. Is I remember I went to the southern part of the map and I couldn't see, and I'm like, what the fuck? What's happening? You know? So
yeah. And then that whole build up, we're like, oh my god, you know, their plan is to bring back Dariel, and then like literally as soon as they spawn her in, we take her out. Like, that was lame as shit.
I will say that, killing. And I just went brain dead. I can't remember his name. Who's the guy you kill like 3 or 4 times?
Oh, Elias.
Elias, yeah. Killing Elias over and over was kind of cool, because the first time you just beat him down and you're like, was that it?
Yeah.
Like, literally, there's got to be more, right?
Yeah.
And then he comes back and you're like, okay, cool. And then you kill him again and you're like, oh, okay. Like, they're not going to bring him back again, are they? And of course they did.
Right.
And then, so it's like, then it starts to get like, okay, are they going to Austin Powers this shit? And like, you know, just having them keep respawning a million times. But,
right.
Campaign was okay. It was what I expected it to be. Maybe slightly, a little bit worse. I kind of expected a little bit of a better story, or maybe a little bit stronger hooks to make me invested in the story. But, it was fun once.
Okay. So that's campaign out of the way. Bullet point 2 I want to talk about is the Codex / aspect system / legendary powers in this game. What are your thoughts?
I like and dislike it at the same time. I think it could be okay with some improvements. I personally, I don't know, man. Having to run the dungeons to get the powers. So let me back up a step. I think that skills have no weight in the game. Your skills don't really determine your character's strength, so to say. It's really your legendary powers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And
so when you first start the game out, you don't have any legendary powers. So your character is pretty weak.
Mm-hmm.
To get legendary powers for some classes, the dungeons are in Act 1. To get legendary powers for some classes, they're in Act 3. They're in Act 4. They're in places you don't immediately have access to.
Yeah.
I think that's a bad design because it gives an advantage to certain classes. That being said, on your second or third playthrough, that's alleviated because you can already unlock those on your main character. The Codex system ties into the gearing system and the stats. Is there any value to blue items in the game that you found?
Like they promised?
I literally tried to think of one. There's no value to blue items.
No.
0.
Mm-mm.
They're just mats.
Yeah.
I don't know. It bothers me a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot, actually. Like, why can't we upgrade them? Why can't we craft with them? Why can't we do something with them? Right? But we can't. So, and then that goes back to yellow items, where eventually you can start to filter items based on, are they sacred? Are they,
ancestral,
whatever, right?
Yeah.
Ancestral, right. Sacred, ancestral. But there's no inherent type, right? You can't see a set of gloves and go, oh, this is leather spiked gloves. Right. I know that what I want drops on leather spiked gloves, not just leather fur gloves or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't matter.
You almost made like a PoE reference there without even knowing it. But
yeah, it's just so inherently. So what that forces you to do is you have some limitations. You don't have to pick up every yellow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can say, I'm only going to pick up ancestrals.
Yeah.
Okay, so cool. So I'm just picking up ancestrals at this point. But then you have to look over every single one and see if it's good or not. There's no inherent way to know, like, okay, I can skip this, right? You get pretty fast at it. You can like glance at it quickly and say, oh, this is garbage. But that changes the ratio of play versus loot management time in my mind. And so when I start to spend a significant amount of my playtime doing loot management versus actually killing stuff, to me, that's a detriment. I don't like that as much. I do know that you have to manage loot. That's fine. But I think the balance in the game right now is too skewed towards loot management. And I know there's ways later on that you can go through items as you get, past level 82 and other things like, if it doesn't have fixes, you instantly scrap, things like that. But you're still looking at all the pieces. You can instantly look at, there's ways you can sort your inventory to where the highest power level item's going to sort first if you auto sort. Mm-hmm. So then okay, if this first item is garbage, then I know everything behind it is also garbage. So there's ways that you can get around the system, but inherently it's a lot of loot management and we've just finding loopholes to try to manage it. So that goes back to the Codex system, though. So the Codex system I don't dislike in the fact that it keeps it where if you get a really good item, you really want to put a good imprint on it.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then, but that locks you into that item potentially for a very long time because you're like, I don't have an imprint that's better than this one.
Right.
And you may not get one for ever. Right? Yeah. I don't like that system.
I actually do like that, but continue.
I think that this system is very similar to a Division system, where Division had the same system except for when you extracted the power, that imprint was then permanently stored in your imprint stash. Mm-hmm. So you had to find it originally to get it, but then once you got it, you could imprint over it. That might be a little too OP. I don't know a good solution, a good middle ground. But I have been stuck with items that I couldn't replace that were just basic legendary, not sacred or ancestral, because they were so good that I was like, okay, I finally got an ancestral item that's going to replace this. Now I have to wait to get an imprint that's worthy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That kind of bums me a little bit.
I like that, actually. I think that is a good, like it's the weight. Like I finally have a perfectly rolled like Shadow Blight. Mm-hmm. Do I put on this necklace now? Like, am I going to regret this in 5 levels when I find an upgrade? Like, is it going to be worth it running now? I do like that. That's a good.
Do I imprint this on my weapon for the 50% bonus, or do I imprint it on my two-hander for the 100%, or my necklace, right? Whatever. And then knowing that your weapon's not perfect, right? So it does give you some decisions. I do think that every legendary power should be in the Codex once you get it once. At minimum, because there are some powers that you can't get from a dungeon, right? Like I understand it's going to be the crap. I understand it's going to be the crappiest version, but if I extract it once, add it to my Codex. That way, like an example.
That's too strong.
Do you?
Yeah.
An example is like, let's say you're playing a sorceress and you want a double Frost Nova, right?
Yeah.
It may take you forever to get the drop. But then once you get it, you put on an item that's a legendary item, you're leveling up. You may not see it again for
a long time.
Ever.
Right.
Yeah. And you're just like stuck with this garbage tier item that happened to drop it.
But
I don't know.
That's how you roll the dice. Like there has to be some level of like risk and reward that is sort of punishing in a game like this.
I'm okay with that staying because I don't disagree with you. I just think it can be super punishing orange. Like an example is the ice shards ring on my sorceress that gives you more penetration and more damage per hit. I didn't see one. I didn't actually get, so I got the power from a dungeon. I didn't actually get a drop until I was level 73. Like that's pretty crazy. You know how much shit I went through by level 73?
That's great. And then you finally got it and you're like,
it.
fuck, yes. Like now here we
Well,
now
I got it, but you know
gas.
what it was? It was dog shit. It was a dog shit roll. It was like 1 percentage point better.
Yeah, but that's a reason to keep playing. It's like I want to get the perfect roll to put onto my gear. That's the only good thing about progression.
It could also be build breaking though. Like if your power for your build didn't come from a dungeon, then like what are you doing? You know what I mean? You stuck in world tier 1. You know,
maybe
dragging your ass.
Yeah,
you know,
or
I don't know.
Come up with a better build that can handle this shit. Like if you go into like the game thinking like, well, I want to play Shadow Blight and that's it. And like instead of altering your build based on like the stuff that you find, like you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage anyway.
Yeah, but they don't have a system set up to let you experiment and play.
I think before World Tier 3, like it doesn't matter. Like, you can just like respec. Your gear's not that fucking good. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah. In game, I would agree with that, but you're in World Tier 3 early as hell. I mean, you're in World
50.
Tier 3 at like sub 50.
40,
I think
50,
I was doing
whatever.
it like 45, something stupid low, right? Like you're completed the campaign, boom, World Tier 3. So I don't. That's kind of jumping. I'll get to that. I'll get back to that later. So as far as the system goes, I think they need to do something with the yellows. I don't like having to loot every yellow. I don't like having to look at every single one that drops. I feel like I spend a little bit too much time doing inventory management. Loot filters fix that? Maybe. I don't, but do I want that in the game? I don't know. And blues have no place at all. Like there's no crafting, kind of. I mean, like if you want to call crafting throwing a legendary power on an item, re-rolling one affix. I mean,
I'm with you to an extent. Like I think that yellow items aren't a problem. I think it's just weapons. It's literally just weapons because weapons are really at the end of the day the only thing you care about item power on. Everything else is like you're gonna put on a pair of gloves that has good rolls. Like it doesn't matter if it's item power 700. It doesn't matter if it's item power 800. If it's got like the stats that you want, you're gonna put that on no matter what. Whereas a weapon, like it can be item power level 700 and has perfect rolls, but you're still gonna put the 800 on because like that's all that really matters on a weapon. So I think that maybe putting the number on the weapon right next to it would alleviate a lot of the stress. Like I don't have any stress of picking up like rings, armor pieces, anything like that. Like looking at those pieces, like that doesn't bother me. But like the auto sort to like, okay, everything after this is going to be straight garbage. I think that is a pain in the ass. But I mean, the game could just use a loot filter, period. That's just plain and simple. But
yeah, I mean, if I could put a loot filter that says don't show me weapons that are below power level 800.
Right.
Okay. I guess. But then the other part of that comes where you need mats though, right? So you don't get gold, you don't get mats without salvaging or selling.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still picking stuff up to sell, and weapons are worth the most amount.
Yeah. But that'd be sort of nice to like, if your loot filter, like if you could flag, I only want, weapons over eye level 800 or whatever. And then maybe everything else, even if you pick it up, it'll say like, it'll be like blacked out as junk. And so you can just, you can auto salvage it or auto sell it or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Just put an auto salvage if you pick up item not on your filter.
Yeah.
I like that.
I've sort of foresee this stuff just changing though. Like, so this doesn't bother me super much like right now.
This isn't game breaking, I don't think.
Yeah.
So this is a good skeleton to start with. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more crafting. I would have liked to see, I don't know, like that seems very, very basic. And I didn't expect anything crazy from Diablo. Like, I do think they lean towards the casuals, but this is extremely casual, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think, to just bring back the Mystic basically from Diablo 3 is like, it's zero risk. Like it works. And even like they brought back the Mystic, but it's like worse because like you can't even see the options you can roll into. Like
this isn't my quality of life rant that I'm gonna have at some point. But yeah, to not like, why can't I see what roles are potentially available?
Copy paste that line of code, like if you just got like what happened?
That I literally spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out how to turn it on. I'm like, it's gotta be there. Is it in options?
Right.
Is there a button I need to press?
No.
Like, how is it not there? But it's not there, and it's crazy that you can't see that. So I'm having to go to third-party websites to look that info up.
My thoughts on Codex aspect system. I I do like it, and we disagree on like I think I love the aspect of like waiting, like this is perfectly rolled. Like, do we use it now or do I am I gonna get this one again? How rare is it? Like, I think that holds weight, and there's like punishing aspects to that, and I do personally like punishing aspects in game. That's why I'm such a PoE enjoyer. But I think it's super cringe to repeat the mistakes of Diablo 3. Like, having an aspect that rolls, a damage modifier on it is like, did you guys fucking learn nothing?
No.
From Diablo 3? Like, what are you doing?
Cooldown reduction?
Like, so dumb. Like, don't put damage on an aspect. Like, that's so stupid to me.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. A lot of the stat choices seem like repeats from Diablo 3. Like CDR is king for sorceress. I'm sure it is for every other class. It seems king for barb to keep your shouts up.
It's definitely.
I'm sure is it good for necro? Yeah. I mean, it's like king.
That doesn't bother me as much, and we'll get into that in the next section when we talk about stats. But
yeah,
how do you feel about uniques?
I like them. I think the big controversy is over the drop rates, right?
Sure.
I think people are saying that the drop rate is too low.
But we'll just talk about the uniques. We'll talk about that in a different section.
I mean, there are some that are cool. There are some that are game changing. There are some that are complete garbage, right? Mm-hmm. So, I do like them being in the game. I think that the one, like for example, the unique chess piece for sorceress, I forget the name of it, but when I teleport, it groups mobs in and groups them up. It changes the way I played my build, right?
Yeah.
I loved it. I personally think it's fun. It's a fun play style. They have other ones that are for different specs that I'm not playing. So, to me, they look like garbage, right? So, yeah, they're okay. They're okay. I don't dislike them. I don't even have a problem with them being ultra rare either, to be honest.
I think I have a love-hate with uniques. So I like uniques in the sense that you put them in your build and you're sort of locking that particular item slot to whatever the unique rolled. But the problem I have with it is there's going to be certain build ideas that you use a unique for, and the stats were designed by a dev and they had a very specific build in mind for it. So it's got lucky hit on it, or it's got damage to distant enemies or whatever.
And
so it sort of takes away, you can't re-roll it. So it sort of takes away I want to make some crazy off meta idea with this. You're gonna be putting that unique on because you need it for your idea, but you're taking this huge item disadvantage because it doesn't have the stats that you need.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being able to re-roll them, because I tried it initially too. I'm like, I'd rather have this stat than that stat.
You know what I heard? This is on the same subject, but I heard literally that the season 1 theme is re-rolling a stat on uniques.
No, it's not. You're trolling. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. That would be the season 1 theme.
There is no way that's the theme.
I hope not.
Somebody's
I fucking hope not.
That would be so horrible.
Yeah.
Dude. That would be so horrible. How is that even a theme? That's not a theme.
No.
Listen, I haven't heard I purposely, so I don't ask because I honestly kind of want to be surprised, but the only stuff that I've heard is don't get your hopes up. That's what I've heard. So now things could have changed since I got that information,
sure,
but I just heard don't get your hopes up. From a source, a good source, right?
Yeah.
So that's all I'll say. So yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about that later too.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with legendary powers. I think that's okay. I again wish that there was an easier way to see what I could apply to what, if I have a power on an item, it's hard to see what can I get this on? Can this go on weapon, helm, boots? Because it's not all the same, right? You get a power and it might be this only goes on boots and chest.
On boots, it could be utility versus an armor. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And I don't have those memorized. I'm sure you'll memorize them eventually, and it's not a problem, but it just seems weird that there's no in-game system, no way for me to press Alt or Shift and just see what I can put it on.
Yep.
or what I can extract and put it
or
on.
even just the naming convention. Like literally, I've had people come in chat and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about putting the aspect of blank on your boots?" I'm like, I don't have aspects memorized. Like, what are you talking about right now? Like,
but that's the
and there's
thing.
no way to know. Like, if you look at a piece of gear, you put an aspect on. It's not like it says, "Hey, you put aspect of blank on this." It's just like you have that power now. So it's like
it does kind of name them. So there is a naming like let's say I have, and I don't know if this is actually its name, but let's say I put the double frost nova on a piece of gear. It'll say it puts like of the cold like
but it's not the name of the aspect. It's
it's like super cool gloves of the cold, right? And it's like always of the cold, you know. And I'm just like, okay, so I learned that of the cold means it's got frost nova on it. So like but there's no stash search, and this is I'm gonna go to my quality of life rant. Like I fucking drives me
stash
crazy.
Is at the end. This number 8.
Oh my goodness,
we're not there yet.
So but as far as stats go, nothing crazy. The implicit, I don't know. You're build defining locked into implicits on certain pieces. Like, for sorceress, I have to have the cooldown reduction implicit on the offhand if it's the other one. I guess it's the type, right? I don't know the types for the offhand, but one of them has the cooldown implicit. Okay, so the other one's completely off the table. I can't ever use it, right?
Yeah.
And then same for weapons, like daggers have plus damage, and wands are plus lucky hit, right? So that's kind of cool. I guess it's okay that certain types have their implicits, but stat wise, nothing crazy. It's just basic ARPG stats. I felt like they just kind of followed the D3 mold quite a bit. Lots of damage modifiers, plus cold damage, plus frozen damage, plus vuln damage, plus if you don't have all the damages, then it's a garbage item on your weapons, at least. So
I disagree. So I think that I like implicits. I think that that's a good idea. I think that No,
I do like them. I wasn't saying I didn't.
Okay. I think that you getting a perfectly rolled pair of boots, you're like, oh my God, Poggies. It's like, oh, but it didn't get plus evade charges. You're like, so it could be better. It's like, I actually kind of like that stuff. And I like, if I want to roll wand, like if I'm looking for lucky, I absolutely have to get wand as an implicit like that.
Yeah, so you don't have to pick daggers up, which goes back to what I was saying earlier.
Just great.
Like that's like the smallest of like, oh, I know I can't pick, like I don't care about daggers. I'm not picking them up.
Yeah.
Right.
I do here. I don't love stat. I'm not like, wow, it's this Path of Exile. There's so much, but this is like light years better than Diablo 3, where it's just like int vit cooldown, int vit armor, like depending on whatever you like. It's so much better than that. Like even though they share the same pool, like you can get damage against close targets, you can get damage while fortified damage. Like I think there is some min-maxing that I sort of like, because like the more things that can roll on an item makes it harder to get a perfectly rolled item, and I'm good with that. And it makes it like if you really know how to min-max your character, like it does matter, it does hold weight. So I don't mind the stats.
The DH quivers, right? Like where it's just impossible to get that god rolled quiver,
right? And I sort of like that. My biggest problem with Diablo 4 itemization is sort of what we touched on earlier, for the repeating mistakes is, so they put intelligence, vulnerable damage, and crit damage in their own multipliers. Everything else is sort of an added advantage bucket. And so what that literally is doing is forcing every single fucking build in the game into crit damage and vulnerable damage. And that is dog shit. Like they should absolutely put those back in the added pool. I don't mind main stat being there. Like, of course, like you should try to build main stat. Like it's the Diablo game. That's what you do. +5 main stat.
You want it. Right.
But like vulnerable and fucking crit damage, like, and especially like, my favorite build so far is this like damage over time. Damage over time can't crit. So it's like, why am I speccing the crit for the initial hits just because I have to? Like I literally have to. It's such a dog shit system. They learn nothing from Diablo 3. Where everything had to do crit. It's such I hate it. I hate it so much. I think they should just nerf everything. Like it's going to be a big nerf. If they said tomorrow, hey, vulnerable damage is now additive, crit damage is now additive, like, and the only separate multiplier is main stat, like everyone's damage is getting nerfed. But they should do it now before like everything, because like we're already like going to be fishing. We're already fishing like level 100s. So like
they've already nerfed. They've already. I mean, and that's something else that I'll bring up later is how they're addressing balance, and if it's a good idea the way they're doing it. So stats we kind of hit on.
Yep.
Skills and monster affixes. Let's hear. I went first last time. Let's hear what you got.
Skills, we touched on it a bit earlier, is skills, and we talked about this before Diablo even came out. Like, skills don't feel good on their own. Like, you have to have an aspect, you have to have a damage modifier. Like, we're waiting for a damage modifier or an aspect to drop so the skill can be good is just stupid. Like, it's such a dumb idea. And they said this time and time again at these BlizzCon things is like, we want characters to feel powerful. Like, we don't want to put 12,000 damage on a 6-set bonus. Like, but they put damage modifiers on gear again. Like, what are you doing? Like, that this is a dumb idea.
You built the same set bonuses without set bonuses.
Yeah.
That's all they did.
And then monster affixes. What the actual fuck are they doing? Like in Diablo 3, they're you run into multiple packs, and these packs, these elites have multiple affixes. And so they're like, okay, there's going to be a bunch of arcane lasers you have to deal with, and like the frozen crystals, but ultimately their idea was that you get overwhelmed by things you have to try to avoid. Whereas in this game, it's like you get fucking cold enchanted, and it's just like the mob exhales, and you're just frozen. And you have to just put in something to break CC. Like, it's so dumb how they put up you get overwhelmed in Diablo 4 and die only because you literally just get stunned or frozen to death, and that is it. That's how you die in this game, and that is just who thought that was a good idea? Who tasted the end game beta and was like, "Yep, ship it. This is fun.
This is good." And I'll add to that. I agree with that 1,000,000%. And I was going to bring that up later. I didn't, I wanted to talk about it, but I'm also going to double down and talk about off-screen attacks are just ridiculous. You get hit by a banshee off-screen winding up an attack when you can't even see them.
Well, the banshees, you at least get a red line, but the corpse,
no, there's one mob. Shit. I don't know if it's the banshee or what mob type, but there's one that you just get hit. It could even be
the corpse arrow guy. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, you can be arrow guy, right, and shoot you off screen, and it's just there's not a prominent sound effect. I'm sure if I went and replayed it, in the middle of your banging, running for your life, you're dodging lightning, whatever the hell's going on, I'm novaing the whole screen, and that's I got shot. Come on, man. I get it, but who play tested that, just like you said, and thought that's fun? Who thought let's put an off-screen enemy to shoot your player? That's fun gameplay.
Yeah, that's wild.
Who thinks that's fun gameplay?
Especially for obviously this game is, Blizzard wants to cater to casuals, and even for a casual, to go into a dungeon and they run into cold enchanted and maybe faster attacks, and then just sit there and slowly get killed because they're just perma frozen. That is not fun to even the biggest noob in the world is gonna die to that. That's just wow, that's crazy to me.
I just, you have to design the game with fun in mind, and I think that was their first intention, because the systems are pretty basic. If for an ARPG, it's definitely on the casuals. It's more casual than I thought they would be. I thought D3 was pretty casual, and I think this one's equally as casual, if not more. It's so they were designing the game around fun and combat, I suppose. Yeah. And I don't feel like they nailed that. No. I don't feel like they nailed either of them, to be honest. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
But moving on to
monster affixes in CC is ridiculous. Dumb. It's frustrating. It's a bad system. Yeah. I don't necessarily think that I've put enough thought into it to say this is what they should do to fix it, but they need to redesign it at worst. It's not fun to play. Being CC'd the entire time and being forced into what's the unhindered? Not unhindered. What do they call it? Where you can't get CC'd.
Unstoppable.
Not invulnerable. Unstoppable. Thank you. Having to figure out unstoppable or putting a vulnerable and immune in your build to avoid the CCs is obviously, you're probably going to have it anyways, just for those oh shit moments. But I don't know. It just seems like you're forced down that road really strongly. Hey, we're going to let every mob CC once you get into the higher nightmare dungeons. And then the players have to combat that somehow. Yeah. How? What was their plan? What's their plan for us to combat that?
At the very least, an easy fix for now would, it'd be literally just to remove cold enchanted from the game. Like that would fix a lot. Like suppressors are super annoying. The guys that can stun actually usually have an animation that shows you, hey, they're about to stun you. But the cold, there's literally nothing you can do about it besides like maybe seeing the icon before they touch you. But if they're like teleport plus cold enchanted, you're just fucking dead no matter like what you're playing. So
yeah, I don't. That's a quick patch. I agree.
Yeah,
I think they need a complete philosophy change.
But
I think
for right now, they could just easily get that.
They need to do something. And the fact that they didn't address it, that was the number one thing I was looking for in the patch notes, which we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it in there addressed at all. Like not there.
Yeah.
They need a full philosophy change on that. They need to go back to the drawing board and redesign a completely new CC system if they want to keep it in. I think they should also, while they're at it, analyze the off screen and let us zoom out a little bit.
Well, I mean, maybe not zoom out, but like, why did the mobs get the advantage? I guess you know
I'm not even saying that. I'm just like, I'm not completely separate subject. I personally hate the zoom level of the game. I think it's too zoomed in. I really do. Is it playable? Sure. Yeah, we can play it. But
I don't think you'd have such a problem with it if they didn't zoom you out for world bosses and riding your mount. Like, because then you wouldn't know what else you could see.
Yeah, but it feels so much better though. And that world bosses is extreme. I don't expect that much.
Right.
But like just a little bit, like the riding your horse kind of zoom level would be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think you get on your mount and you ride, and maybe you're riding, like especially before they change Nightmare Dungeons, you're riding like for a really long time sometimes to get to a dungeon, and you get so used to how it zooms out for your mount that like you feel claustrophobic again when it zooms back in, and it's just not good game design.
It would be nice to have some customization there, and I know they're trying to find that point of. I don't understand the zoom other than difficulty scaling, like less information makes choices a little more difficult.
Yeah.
You can't see as much information, right? But I think they overcompensated a little. I haven't compared it A to B to Diablo 3 to see like, oh, which one zoomed out more. I feel like Diablo 3 was zoomed out more. Could be a side effect from the mount, like you're saying. I don't know. But yeah, the fixes need a redesign horribly bad. Skills are very basic. They need
take off damage multipliers from items. Like you're crazy.
Like your basic skills. Most of your skill, like ultimates, don't feel ultimate. No. Ultimates feel like skills with long cooldowns.
Yeah, they should call them long cooldown skills, not ultimate.
Yeah, they should just be long cooldown skills. They don't feel ultimate. They don't do ultimate values of damage. They don't. Nothing about them feels ultimate.
No.
Nothing about them makes me want to use them. I don't use them in any of the builds I've played and come up with and experimented with. I tried them. I'm like, these are garbage. Like, why would I ever take this? Basic skills are pretty garbage tier as well. Like, I'm not super ecstatic about any of it.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the next bullet point, 5. What do you think about Paragon boards / glyphs?
It's nice. It's nice to have something to play with and I'll use the quotes around endgame, right? It's nice to have an endgame talent system that differs from just your regular talent pool. I think it's it gives you this illusion of choice and freedom, but when you really look at the board, I feel like there are definite routes and paths to take and glyphs to use to maximize your damage, and there's really not as much choice there as it looks like there is.
Okay.
Do you agree? Disagree? What do you think?
There's certain things I really like about the Paragon board. So for one, I have spent a really good amount of time plotting out a Paragon board path, and I think there is value in that. However, I think a lot of that is just due to, we're sort of just pioneering the boards right now and how they exist, and like there's no super established meta per build yet.
I think it would be cool if there were more boards as well.
Of course.
Yes.
But I do like that, like I like the state of the game right now because everything's so new and like nothing's established. I have sat down for hours and literally planned out a board, and I do love the sort of min-maxing of like, okay, well, this board's going to be super important for the rare nodes it has. So I need to make sure that that board is closer to my starting board so I can get those secondary bonuses. Like, I think that there's some like intelligence in that design and sort of plotting out your path, not only because certain legendary aspects are going to be really good once you get the board, but like sort of reorganizing the board once you have more Paragon points because you want to get like secondary bonuses or whatever. Like, I do really, really enjoy that system. And I haven't really seen a lot of people, you know, pick the same boards for like their build videos or whatever. Like, and I think that that's nice. So I do like them to an extent. Obviously, you know, I'm a PoE enjoyer and I want to see more, but I was sort of pleasantly surprised by, I don't think that they're losing their choice. I think that there are options depending on how you want to build out your character. But I think if you were to land on like, okay, I'm a Bone Spear and I like crit damage and that's how I'm going to build my Bone Spear, like there's 100% going to be one best path for you.
Yeah. And that was the path that I looked at. It's like, okay, what do I need? These are the stats that I'm prioritizing in my build right now. This is the path that gets me those stats, right? You know, you can sit down, you plan it out. This is the path that gets me the stats that I want. If I deviate from that, I get less of the stats that I want. So I'm going to go this path. I do think there is, like you said, a little choice in the rare nodes. Like, okay, do I want to get these rare nodes or do I want to progress further into a different board and try to get these, this glyph slot or this legendary power? I do think it was kind of cool how they opened up 4 Paragon board points per level instead of just every level. That I wasn't expecting that because I tried to avoid some of the in-game spoilers when it got closer to launch as people started releasing their 50 videos because they got to play for 9 months, right?
Right.
Which we talked about in the last one.
Sure.
So I kind of avoided that because it's like, well, I'll get to figure it out in real time in a day or two. Let's just not look at it.
Yeah.
And so that was cool. It was fun to see the glyphs. The glyphs are like legendary gems, kind of. You do a nightmare dungeon, which is kind of like a greater rift, and then you like. So they just kind of renamed the D3 systems, and it's disappointing to me a little bit that it's so similar that it doesn't even really feel new or unique when you play it, even the first time. Like, you know, the very first time that I did a nightmare and I upgraded my glyph, I'm like, we've done this. You know what I mean? This is just a legendary gem.
Right.
So, yeah, they're okay. They're powerful. There's a lot of power in the Paragon board. A lot of power in the glyphs for sure. So,
yeah, I do like glyphs. Yeah, they really sort of make the Paragon board more enjoyable. I don't really mind because like it's a nice progression system post. You know, once you hit like say 70, you're pretty much in the end game. Like you've got like your build put together and you're farming World Tier 4, you're farming Nightmare Dungeons, and it sort of gives you that, you know, as you continue to level 100, like you're literally going to get a ton of power up until level 100. It's not like, ooh, once I hit like 80, like I'm good enough on the Paragon board. Like hell no. Like you're going to hit another tier.
You need all your points.
Yeah, you need all your points. So it that part is nice. The outside of that though, there, you know, the end game is, and we'll talk about end game in a minute, but it doesn't feel like there's much point. But I mean, yeah, I think the Paragon board in the glyphs is sort of, maybe out of all these bullet points, I'll give it the highest rating.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, Paragon board, I definitely felt the power once you hit those rare nodes, once you hit the glyphs, once you, like, you could definitely, oh, wow, you can feel that. Okay, that's cool, right? So I agree with that. Progression. How do you, okay. Let's warm it up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So progression. So so for starters, you were there with me. We went to BlizzCon and they talked about ancient items and the crowd freaked out. People on the internet freaked out and they're like, please don't do that again.
They freaked out in a bad way.
In a very bad way. Don't do ancient items. And then they came out and they're like, sorry about that. we're not gonna do the ancient items. Like, you're right.
You're right.
That's
That's
fake
a bad
as fuck.
idea.
Right. And then they fucking did it anyway. And so like you hit world tier 3 and you find ancient items, and then you hit world tier 4 and you find ancient items. It's like, that is some fake ass progression. Then you hit
level 82 and you get even better items, right?
Yeah, dude. So that is obviously something I hate. I do like capstones. I
do too, actually. I do have a complaint though.
Okay.
I think you should be forced to solo your capstone.
Absolutely.
I think getting carried through your capstone is lame.
Yeah.
And it's
but even if you get carried through your capstone, like, you're not ready for the next world tier. So it's like, someone can carry you through it, but you're gonna jump in the world tier 4 and you're gonna get one shot by everything.
And the reason, so there's a double edge because I have made an alt and I did get power leveled a little bit on my alt where somebody carried my capstones right instantly, and then we went and I soak a world tier 4 world boss at level 40.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a level, right?
Yeah.
It's lame to me though. Like, of course I'm going to do it because it's efficient.
Right.
But I don't think I should be able to, personally. Mm-hmm. Like, if you can't do your capstone, guess what, baby? You're not a world tier 4 player.
You're not ready. You're not ready, dude. Yeah.
So
I 100% agree. I do like the capstones. They should be like solo only.
I do like it though.
And I think it's almost dangerous to not have them solo only, because I think that does create what we just talked about. You're gonna someone like say, hey, looking for someone to kill the capstone boss for me, and then they come in, they kill it for you, and you're like, okay, cool, now I can jump in the world tier 4, and then you just get fucking annihilated, and you're like, oh, this game's dog shit, and you quit. Like, it's dangerous. It's for noobs. It's awful for them to be carried.
I was like level 55, and I tried my world tier 4 capstone, which is level 70, right?
Yeah.
And I was able to kill everything. I went through and killed everything, and then got to the final boss, and he just dunked on me. It was ridiculous. Like, I couldn't even get looked at, and I was dead.
Yeah.
At 55, and I was like, well, that was a waste of an hour of my life, but it was a good experience though. Like, I tried to solo it, and it didn't work. Right? Yeah. Okay, I'm not ready. So then you get a couple levels, and you come back, and you're like, okay. Now I'm 63. Can I do it at 63?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, I pulled it off. Like, cool. You know what I mean? There was a little sense of reward to it as well.
Or you're literally a gaming god like me, and you go in at 45 and you solo it. You know what I mean? Like,
it's just
you just gotta know. No, you gotta know how to build your guy to the best of your ability at 45 so you can solo that capstone. I love that. I fucking love that.
Druids were able to solo it.
Necro's so fucking good, like 15 tiers above when your minions are getting one shot.
You're just tankier.
No, you're not. You don't even know Necro. Anyways.
Okay. Yeah. You're right, actually. You're actually, I don't know anything about Necro. I haven't played one at all. So
no one else knows anything about Necro either, to be fair.
it would be interesting to that is something that I will give them a little credit on, is I do think the classes feel a little different. Like, I played Barb and Sorcerer, and they do feel different. They're not the same play style. Like, it's you're grouping up enemies and blowing them up, which is every ARPG, but they definitely felt drastically different. The leveling experience was drastically different as well.
Are those the two that you started with, the Barb and Sorcerer?
I did Sorcerer first, and then I wanted to and the reason is for PvP. I wanted to get a Barb for PvP because it looked like a lot of fun.
Okay.
So, but we'll hit on PvP later, right? Sure. It's not on the notes, but I'm going to add it on there.
And those are literally the worst two classes.
But, you think so?
Oh God, yeah. Like, as far as like they're D3 classes, and there's not a lot that deviated from that. And Resident Sleeper.
Necro's a D3 class too.
You're a total sociopath if you came into if you played a lot of Diablo 3 and you played a lot of Barbarian in Diablo 3 and you come into Diablo 4 and you're playing Whirlwind Barb, like, you're a fucking sociopath.
I'm not playing Whirlwind. I'm playing Hammer of the Ancients, which we had Hodo bars in D3, but it plays different. So lunging strike is we didn't have a lunging strike in D3.
Sure. Is that like the World of Warcraft, like, on kill you get a reset or something like that?
No, it's like your basic bitch ability, and you stab, but it's like charge. Like, think of warrior charge in World of Warcraft with no cooldown, right? So you can charge around the whole time. It's like, I don't know, it's like charge barb kind of, it just gets you on your enemies so you can attack them, generate, and then you Hoda smash. It's okay. Like, I don't think it's the most engaging. I said I leveled it up and to like 54, 55, and I was like, okay, like this is kind of meh. It's okay. And then they nerfed it, and then I was done. Like once they nerfed it, I was like, why? Well, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Because I want to address their balance changes.
So we both agree progression is fake as fuck. This whole ancient items bullshit.
Capstones are cool.
Yeah.
Capstones are cool. The sacred and ancestral items, I think it's a shitty system.
Yep.
I don't like it personally.
Terrible.
I also don't like how the items you get drop at your level, right? So let's say I'm playing my sorceress and I get, a 725 weapon.
Yep.
And that's locked to level 74 because I got it at level 74.
Yep.
So now I make a new sorceress because maybe I want to have two builds and they can't switch builds easily in the game, right? But I can't give it that weapon until I power level it up to 74. Yep. I have to level that class all the way. Like, I don't know, man.
That was wild for me. I didn't know. Like, so I got my Necro to 100, and I'm like, man, I've been saving all this gear. I've got like gear for blood. I've got gear for pets. I've got gear for
I did the
bone.
Same.
And then I got him to 100, and I switched, and it's like, okay, like I'm gonna level a second Necro. And he's just going to be able to, like, once he gets World Tier 4, he's going to put on all this crazy gear and we're going to be pumping.
Yep,
but nope.
Exactly.
It's all fucking locked to level 100. It's like, what?
I did the same shit. So I'm like, I'm playing Ice Shards, right? And I'm like, I really want to work on some fire builds. I would like to experiment and play some fire. So I saved all this dope fire gear, right? I have a stash page full of all this amazing fire gear. Mm-hmm. Didn't really pay attention. It says it on the item, but I didn't really pay attention, right?
Because it just doesn't make sense, right?
And then so I went to look at it, and I'm like, wait a minute, requires level 74? Like, I'm not going to level a whole nother sorcerer up to 80 just to put this thing on. Like, that's stupid, right? Yeah. So that to me, with the inability to save a spec, the resource cost required to respec and your Paragon board, and then the inability to search your stash to save your gear layouts, like everything about the in-game build system is like you are dedicating to whatever you go with. Yes, you can switch out of it if you want to, but man, it's a chore. Like it doesn't incentivize experimentation, and it doesn't incentivize discovery. It doesn't incentivize, I had this cool idea. Let me go see if that works. Because in doing that, you're breaking your build that does work, and then you have to make sure you have enough resources set up to go back to your working build to start farming again.
Yeah,
right?
I think I agree on like two different points. So there's one that's like, I think it's a weird choice for such a casual game to sort of like, plant your feet on that bullet point. Like, oh, we're not going to bring back the armory. Like, you're not going to be able to respec easily. Like, this is a hardcore game. Like, no, you're fucking not, Blizzard. This is a casual
this is game. Casual as ARPG gets, yeah.
But I think, too, like, you're absolutely right. It doesn't allow for experimentation. Like, but I think at the very least, like, the problem that we just talked about, like, where, okay, yeah, maybe I don't get to experiment on this character, but I'm saving all this, like, separate, like, fire gear, like you talked about, in the bank. And so when I hit World Tier 4 on my next sorcerer, I should just, like, be able to log in, put this stuff on. Like, locking it to a level just makes no fucking sense to me, especially in this game. It's not like you're going to be at some crazy advantage because you decided to level a second character. Like, it's like a time
You're behind.
Yeah, you're behind.
Like, that character has no Paragon points until you power level him.
No glyphs, no nothing. Like,
yeah. And so that brings me, that whole system, personally for me, makes me not want to play. So if you remember back in Diablo, before they had the armory, the way we combated that deficit in the game was we made a second barb. Yep. Okay, I want a whirlwind barb and I want a support barb, right? You leveled a second barb, you saved your support gear from your main, you threw it in the stash, you went and got it, boom, barb is ready to go. There was nothing to it, right?
100%. Yeah.
You can't do that. And so I would have played more Diablo 4 had I been able to experiment with a fire sorceress and a lightning sorceress and every other sorceress there was. If I would have had that experimentation, it would have encouraged me to continue playing my Ice Shards build. And then on top of that, it would have encouraged me to continue playing other builds and discover more builds.
Yeah.
Instead, I was like, that's too much work. It's too much. I don't even want to say the word work. It's too much of a pain point to go do that. I'm just going to quit. I'm just gonna I'm gonna play something else. You know what I mean?
And to further touch on that, even as someone who hit level 100, like I got level 100 on a necro, and I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna start resetting, making new builds, and I can afford it because I've got 60 million gold or whatever. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, resetting Paragons, sure, big pain in the ass, annoying as fuck. But there was something about, even after I was level 100, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try a blood build now, and so I respec all my shit. I had to level new glyphs, which is fine. I don't mind that. At least gives something to do. But playing at level 100 and not getting any experience is also an awful experience. Like, even though I'm trying to farm out new gear and it's a different spec, it still feels like, man, this sucks. So I almost felt like I had to start a second character because it just not getting XP, not getting anything for these other than a separate gear idea.
I want you to expand on that. You said this sucks because I'm not getting experience. The lack of experience is a motivator for you. It says, why am I doing this? Explain that.
Yeah.
Why does it suck?
Your XP bar stops moving, and there's no incentive to sort of keep playing that character other than I want to make a blood build and I want to make it work, and so I'm gonna farm out gear, and I'm putting myself at a disadvantage. I'm gonna farm level 50 dungeons because I'm trying a new spec versus I just spec'd out of this Shadowmancer that I made and he could easily farm 65 plus, and it just felt weird. It just felt like this doesn't feel fun. I'm nerfing myself to try something new, and on top of that, I'm the excitement of sort of getting XP is gone as well.
Yeah, and you're punishing yourself to try something new.
Yeah,
is exactly it. Yeah, I agree with that. I just wanted to make sure that your feelings were the same as the way I felt too. I'm gonna take that a step further and go and say, once you're able to farm World Tier 4 and get into the, I'll say, mid 30s to 40s nightmare dungeons, the reason to keep grinding to me significantly went down.
Yeah.
My desire to grind went down. Everything about my in-game experience was why am I doing this? I'm doing this to get to level 100? But why? And this can the next topic is endgame. So I'm just going to hit it. Here's my analogy for how Blizzard screwed this up. When you play a game and you level, we leveled in Diablo 4. And what did we have access to? The campaign, which is okay the first time, and dungeons. When we finished the campaign, that's when we quote unquote hit endgame. What activities open up for us? Dungeons. We've already had dungeons. So we're adding modifiers to them, but that's not really that drastically different.
Right.
We got the world tree, which is
Nice.
it's okay, I guess. It's pretty basic, but and then we got hell tides.
But it's still boring, right?
Yeah, and we got hell tides, and hell tides are okay too. But there was no pinnacle in-game activity, and so
there's Uber Lilith, but there's no point in doing it.
Yeah, but once you hit, but that's not once you hit the end game, nothing else opens up.
Yeah.
And so think about this. It's okay. If it takes me 3 weeks to hit level 100, that's fine. Because there's a carrot at the end. When I hit level 100, this is going to open up. And I'm going to take this back to World of Warcraft, which is my favorite game. We all know that. When you're playing WoW and you're leveling, what do you have access to? You're leveling, doing the campaign, and you have access to dungeons. But when you hit endgame, what happens? When you reach max level, you're opening up raids, you're opening up PvP, you're opening up other in-game activities that aren't accessible to you as you're leveling up through the game. And Diablo 4 doesn't have that in-game activity. When you're doing it in PoE, right? When you're leveling in PoE, you're usually doing the campaign. But then once you finish that, you're opening up in-game activities. I don't think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this as a PoE player for real, when is your power level drastically reduced or increased once you start to get out of the 80s, 90s into the 100? Max level is 100 on PoE or 99, right?
100, yeah.
100. How drastically different is your power level from 90 to 100?
I mean,
Is it 40 Paragon points different?
No. I mean, yeah, it's hard. So like, yeah, there's so many factors. Obviously, in Path of Exile, there's so many more dimensions than Diablo, so it's really hard to make a straight up comparison. But yeah,
I think their biggest oversight is that there's no pinnacle carrot at 100 to me that makes me go, the game opens up. WoW opens up at max level. The leveling experience is just that. It's a leveling experience. And I think any WoW player would agree that your end game opens at max level. And with Diablo 4, you finish the campaign and it opens up end game, but you're doing the same shit that you did during the campaign. You're still just doing dungeons.
See, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to disagree for a sec. And I think you're approaching it with the WoW mentality, and I think that is the flaw. I don't think that this game should try to resemble World of Warcraft. I don't think that once you hit 100, I don't think that once you hit 100 that you should unlock new activities. That should not 100% not be what happens. So what needs to happen here is, okay, we'll just say for the sake of it's Diablo 4, and like you hit World Tier 4, and then you get access to a bunch of different things, but there's sort of no point in you're farming Nightmare Dungeons and your goal is to chase 100, and that's it. Like you're not chasing anything else. And so your argument is like, okay, well, once we hit 100, we unlock new activities. No, 100% no. This should be like the end game loop should be so exciting, like it is in Path of Exile. Like Path of Exile, once you're mapping, you're able to access all the things.
Yeah,
and that keeps you going.
I'll retract. I'm not saying that you need to hit 100 to open these up, but World Tier 4 should have opened them up. World Tier
and it does, technically,
or level 70. No. You can do Hell Tides at World Tier 1. You can do the tree
I don't think you can.
1. I definitely know you can at 3 because I was doing it all
100% for 3. Yeah.
Chat can maybe chime in if they know. I think you can do them lower than 3. But maybe
3,
let's just say it's 3. Yeah. Okay. So they open at 3, right?
Yeah. You can do tree at 1.
So you hit 4 and you get ancient items.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your end game. Like that's my like why am I grinding levels to gain power? Right? I'm grinding levels to get Paragon points to give me power to open up ancient items in World Tier 4. Mm-hmm. There's no new activity, there's no new pinnacle event that makes me want to get to World Tier 4. And there should be, okay, you hit World Tier 3, boom, you got Hell Tides. Okay, cool. You hit World Tier 4, you got raids. You got something else. You get something. Like Nightmare Dungeons are a really shitty Greater Rift system. If they're gonna steal mapping from PoE, at least steal it right. Like Blizzard is the king of stealing an idea and making it better.
Yeah.
Right?
They stole nothing. They literally just copy pasted D3.
You don't have a home base. Like they should have added a hideout from PoE. They could have. And then they could have put a mapping device in, like PoE. And you could have crafted your Nightmare Dungeon keys like PoE, where you can use modifiers and kind of like more than just, I have a dust, let me make some. Right. Like, no, like let me throw shit in there to make it craftable.
Right. More customized. Right? Yeah.
Yep. You have deaths like PoE. You had your portals, right? When you ran out of portals, boom, you're done. Okay, they stole that. We're going to put deaths on this thing. But they didn't add the portals until the patch notes, right? Until the community complained, like, why am I running the dungeons every time? So what they've done is they've just essentially made like a really shitty Greater Rift system and stole like a little bit of the mapping aspect from PoE. Like, bro, just steal it. If you're going to steal it and make it good. Yeah. Like, give us a hideout, give us a mapping device. You know what I mean?
I think what you're touching on here is like, so I think the great pitfall of Diablo 4 in its current form, like obviously it's very basic. This is vanilla. And they sort of copy pasted everything from D3. But I think at the end of the day, the biggest pitfall is just like, so they wanted us to be in Nightmare Dungeons. And so recently they've made changes to say, hey, like, you should be in Nightmare Dungeons. Nightmare Dungeons are where you meant to farm. But like what you're saying, there isn't much of a reason to do that. Like there's not much incentive other than, Paragon points are incredibly powerful, and like unlocking more glyphs is incredibly powerful. And that is sort of the only chase of continuing to level. And then they've got, Uber Lilith at the end, who's like, there's no point. There's like, you get a mount, like, which like no one really cares about. And especially now that you can port to Nightmare Dungeons, it's like, why did you even make this open world if you just port everywhere, which doesn't make any fucking sense, but whatever. What they could have done, and this would have been and I still think it'd be easy to implement, is the Pinnacle boss from Path of Exile, right? So so we'll take Awakener, for example. You farm out each zone of the Atlas, and then once you've done a certain amount of maps or from each zone, you unlock a fight to Awakener, right? And they could do the exact same thing in Diablo 4. They could say there's 5 zones, and if you do like 5 nightmare zones or five nightmare dungeons in each of the zones, it like fills up a progress bar, and then you get a key to fight Uber Lilith. And Uber Lilith has very specific gear that can only drop from her, and it's gear that you want to chase, but like you only get like 4 deaths, just like a nightmare dungeon or whatever.
Yep.
And then you go in and you farm her, but you're not guaranteed that loot. Like you still gotta be able to kill Uber Lilith, and like that would have been a reason to like, yeah, you're farming nightmare dungeons, but you're also filling up a progress bar to potentially fight Uber Lilith again. Like that's what this game is 100%.
You have more of a reason to farm your power, to farm your Paragon, to farm your levels. I don't know if that's enough either. I do agree. That's
for vanilla, it would have been great, right?
That's something they could add. That to me, that's still not enough end game. I feel it's a good skeleton. I think there's a lot wrong with the skeleton, but it is a workable skeleton. This game could be something good in the future. It can definitely be good. But I feel like it was rushed. I feel like there's not 100%. Enough end game. There's no end game. And the problem is Blizzard made more money than they've ever made on anything off this formula. And there's so many people giving the game ultimate praises. I see content creators and things tweeting out game of the year. This is so good. I've never had this much fun in my life. And it's crazy to me. I'm like, well, okay. I don't know what you play, but I do like it. There needs to be more of an in-game chase and a desire to play. To be completely honest, I'm gonna save that comment for later because it relates to one of the questions we got.
Okay,
actually. I'll go back to it. There needs to go ahead. There needs to be more end game. Like there has to be a pinnacle reason for me to want to log in and play. And I lost that in my early 70s. Yeah. In my early 70s,
everyone else that got to 70. Seemingly,
in my early 70s, I was like, okay, I have my build working. I can continue to farm Paragon points to make me stronger. I can continue to get better itemized pieces of gear, but I fundamentally have everything I actually want for the build. I'm good. Like I don't have that desire to play.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like it makes me super disappointed to say that. I've been saying as soon as we got any in-game news, I said the game's going to keep me entertained for 3 weeks if it launches with this end game.
Yeah.
I said that a million times over. The game kept me entertained for 1 week.
And literally for me,
less than a week.
The only reason I've been able to keep going, right? Like I've got 100 necro. I've got 80, almost 5 necro now. The only thing that keeps me going is literally making build guides, like because people just like suck at the necro so much, and I'm like, I want to make these like guides. I want to like make builds that actually work and like that are not just like bone spear and everyone's copy pasting the exact same build. And like literally for weeks, people thought the only build that was playable on a necro was bone spear until like we came with a shadow, and then people were like, oh shit. And now we're playing, like people are like, oh my God, minions are unplayable. They're totally garbage. Like they can't be done. And now we've got a minion build that's totally like that's literally the only reason I've kept going is like proving people wrong about like, no, you can make a build out of this like 100%. But if that didn't exist, if this game was like season 2 and I was coming in as a fresh player and I'm not like a content creator, I'd be done. I'd be fucking done.
It's so sad for me to say. I wanted more than any other game that's ever released in the history of video games.
Yeah.
For this game to be like the game that I play nonstop 24/7 for years. And it was like 6 days in. I'm like, well, I could play Diablo 4 tonight, or I could go play the new Overwatch season that dropped.
I still can't believe you did that. Fuck.
And that's when you messaged me. So we were talking earlier, if you guys remember, and I said I'd bring it up later. the new, I like Overwatch. I actually love it. I play a lot of it. And so the new Overwatch season dropped, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna go play some comp in Overwatch, and I had a great time. I had more fun playing the new season of Overwatch than I did the last couple days of Diablo. And that's crazy. And it's not my fault, right? Like, that's not my fault.
Here's the thing that I get hung up on with that, right? So you're playing new Overwatch. Overwatch is dog shit game, whatever. To all this shit talking, right? Like to all this shit talking that we're saying on Diablo 4's endgame, right? It's absolutely, this is a copy paste from Diablo 3. This game is Diablo 3.2 in its current form, and I think that sucks. That really, really sucks. However, the problem with Diablo 3 that we always talked about in these, we're episode 188 of the fucking podcast. The problem with Diablo 3 was not that the end game system sucked. It's just that there wasn't more of it. Like, GRs were fine. Like, bounties were okay-ish. But the problem with Diablo 3 is that we never got more things to fucking do. It wasn't the system in and of itself. Like, they were fine-ish. And so I think that that's going to hold true for this game as well. Like, so like this is fine-ish for season 0, for vanilla Diablo 4. It's just going to be a matter of, season 1.
For a veteran player, this is the same shit we've been doing. It's
Diablo 4 was not meant for us. I think the problem too is like, it's not 100%. Meant for us.
But I wanted it to be. Yeah, I wanted it to be. I wanted a new end game activity. Like, and what we're doing is we're doing shittier greater rifts. If we're being honest, they're static. And there's really like 3 or 4 or 5 themes, right? Where Greater Rifts had tile sets, at least they were randomized. Like, you can learn the layouts of the dungeons. You run the same, like if you did, what was the triple lane leveling thing that people were doing? I forget. Chat will know 100% what I'm talking about. There was a dungeon that had the same static layout. Like, so you're running it over and over and over. And people were farming, like finding all these dungeon exploits with high mobs, and you're running them over.
And that's why they buff Nightmare Dungeons.
They nuff that. They nerf it, they buff it, whatever. Like, they try to balance it out. But the dungeons feel the same-ish. It's still the same tile sets. Like, you can go into 4 or 5 different dungeons, and it's the same tile types, the same big blocks of, okay, this is the exact same piece, room layout, furniture layout, which I don't expect that to change. Like, that's just how ARPGs work.
Sure.
But you're basically doing 5 different styles of dungeon. That's it. Right?
That's a gripe for vanilla Diablo 4. I don't know. Like, this is it. Like,
but that's the end game. Like, it's the end game from D3. D3 was you're doing greater rifts.
Yeah.
We're doing nightmare dungeons. It's literally the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. But again, it's not. I agree. Like, there should be more. We're not disagreeing at all here. But at the end of the day, I'm flabbergasted that you couldn't spend 3-4 weeks playing the exact same system that we spent like 10 fucking years playing, and you go and play Overwatch, like the most dog shit game ever.
No. Why should I be forcing myself to do something that's not fun? That's not my fault. It's not my fault I don't enjoy it.
There's new skills, like there's things to check out, like, and you just like
no, there's not
seems like a weird thing to
skills to check out because I got to break my build to do it. It's the going back to the whole thing. There's penalties for me trying new stuff. It's like, why would I break the build that works to reset my Paragon board, to reset my talents, to potentially maybe have this not work or not have the aspects I need because, I'm experimenting, and then go farm world tier 1 or 2 because my shit's broken to get enough gold to respec back into my build that worked. That's not fun. Like, it's not my fault they made it that way. You know what I mean? Like, I have this mentality, and this is something that I've switched to in the last 3 years or so. Is there was a long period of time where I forced myself to play games that weren't fun because I felt like I had to, or I felt like people expected me to, and I don't do that anymore. If I'm not having fun, why am I spending my life doing that? Why am I doing it? I'm going to do something I'm enjoying, and so
it kind of sounds like you're just not an ARPG gamer anymore.
No, it sounds like they didn't build systems that were engaging enough to keep me entertained. And that's okay. Like, the campaign was fun. I had a good time to 50, right? It was fun the first couple nights, but then once I hit 70s and I'm like, okay, I'm running nightmare dungeons and I'm doing like 10 of them to get a quarter level. And like, this isn't as much fun as it was 2 days ago. Like, I'm enticed by other carrots,
And so the best course of
Are
action.
Are you a one lady kind of guy,
Oh,
or do you
absolutely.
do you like to date several people and experience other things in life?
Well, I feel like that's a really weird question coming from you, a guy that's been married for like forever. So
I'm asking you the question, sir.
No, obviously I've been in 3 committed 6-year plus relationships.
Okay, and what about recently? What about recently?
Okay, recently, whatever, dude. Like it's
okay. So listen, why are you going on other dates when you can just have one?
Well, because you got to find the right one, you know. They're
exactly.
not
you
ARPGs.
Gotta find the right one.
They're not ARPGs. Like maybe they're first-person team-based shooters like Overwatch. I don't want to date that. That sucks.
Yeah, it sounds weird. Like I think this entire podcast we've both been pretty negative, pretty critical, and it comes from a place of love. I want the game to be good. I really do. I think they have a skeleton. I think the game was going to be good in 2 or 3 years. I think once they drop a full X-Pack and they iterate a lot of community feedback, I think this game could be pretty fantastic.
See, I honestly think that I know that there are things that literally were in the in-game beta that didn't make it to launch. So there is content that they're already sitting on. Like I do genuinely feel like season 1 is going to have a lot of stuff, but not because like they've been working like crazy hard these past like weeks or whatever, but because like they just held stuff back. So I do think that season 1 might be pretty poggies in terms of big changes. Hopefully it does.
And that could be cool. And that's also a determinant for me, knowing that season 1's right around the corner and we're going to make new characters to invest. Do I want to invest all this time to get to 100 for this little to no reward that a little bit of power level when I know I'm going to do it again in season 1? If season 1's rewards are good enough, I don't know. To me, that's a little bit of a determinant. But that's extremely opinion based for me. Like that, I don't expect everybody to agree with that.
But we sort of said that before launch. Like season 1 will dictate for us both whether or not like this is something we want to continue to play. Absolutely, and that will continue. It will sort of. I almost feel like judging the game at this point is just premature because at the end of the day, I need season 1 to give this game a full official score. Because if season 1 is
the game did launch, man, I think it's fair game when the game launches and they take they swipe your credit card. I think it's a fair assessment.
No, because if I know season 1 has like some actual content coming, I'm like, you know what? Not bad. Really, it's not bad. But season 1's double fucking goblins. I'm like, fuck you, Blizz. I'm never playing a Diablo game again.
I get it, but we don't know. I mean, we don't know that, right?
Right.
And we'll find out in season 1. I think the launch weekend was fabulous. I had a great time. Mm-hmm. It was one of the best weekends of gaming I've had in a long time. The game just didn't have an appeal to keep me playing. It just didn't. I don't know.
You're just not an RPG gamer anymore, obviously. I don't think that's.
I think I love ARPG.
You play this,
but
you play Path of Exile, and Path of Exile is the season is. Or the league is
listen, man.
Done.
We're going to talk about that too, but PoE dropped some trailers that look fantastic.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Fantastic. So that's the end game. End game is lacking. I think we both agree with that. Helltides are okay. I actually like Helltides. Mm-hmm. I don't like how they locked the upgrade mats behind it, but I think that forces you to go do it. So maybe that's okay.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
But
I don't mind though. They got the world bosses. You have to go kill them to add sockets.
Yeah,
like, I don't care.
I felt good with the world boss currency numbers. I always had socket mats. I definitely ran out of sacred. Sacred runes or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I had to go farm Helltides quite a bit. So I got to a point where every time a Helltide was up, like okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm like farming it while it's up.
When Helltides, like when we first unlocked Helltides, I didn't really enjoy doing them. I like Helltides more after like the Helltides website came out and would show you where the chests were. I didn't like them as much.
Oh, I didn't even know that's a thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty amazing how punishing Helltides are. If you die, you lose half your shards.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. I actually like that a lot. Mm-hmm. However, it's pretty imbalanced for some classes. Like druids can literally AFK, and like I had a buddy that just was like AFK getting hit by meteors, and he's chilling.
I mean, sure, if you play your
and I get touched by anything on my source. When I first got into World Tier 4 and I was doing them, I was like,
Sources
things
have
would look at
cheat
me.
Death. Get out of here. You cheaters.
So it's, but I do like that it's punishing. I think it's great. Now, once you get a little gear and you're farming, world tier 4, it's fine. Being able to see the chest locations on zones you're not in would be nice. Like once you leave a circled region, like, if you go to the map and you hover your mouse, it outlines that region. You can see the chests in that region and zoom in and see what they are.
Yeah.
But in another region, you can't. And then even if you've discovered them in that region and you go to the other region, you can't see them anymore. Yeah. So it's like I don't like. It
like switches your instance or something. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. And it's like let me see. Like, okay, I farmed up 150 shards. Where's that mystery chest or where's that 2-hand weapon chest?
Well, that's what the helltides.com website is. But it only shows you the mystery chest. Like, and that's fine. I think that the world map should still show you. Like, I don't like going to the world map and being like, okay, chest of protection, so that means it's armor, but like I want boots, or like I want to farm. Like if I could target farm exactly what I wanted, like I would do Helltides the entire hour, but I'm just in there and I like farm enough shards for the mysterious chest and then I get the fuck out, because like I'm not gonna like jump from it's chest of protection until I find fucking gloves or something like that. Like that's stupid.
Yeah. So Helltides are okay.
Yeah.
The world tree is
bounties.
I don't even do it. Like I naturally do it.
They did upgrade the rewards, so it is slightly better now, but it's still like it. Here's the thing. I would do more bounties. Like I would do like say like 2-3 more bounties. Like to say they've got this limit of 10 right now, right? Like you hit the 10 and then you can go turn it in, and then you get one of 3 random rewards. I would do like maybe 3 more bounties, 4 more bounties. If I could be like, no, give me a boot chest.
Yep. Only boots.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't know if they fixed that, right? But like you'd say like, okay, I want a necklace chest, right? And you take your necklace chest, you get 2 yellow necklaces and then a legendary gloves.
Sure.
Like what? Like
I don't have a problem with that. It's just like, I want to be able to say I want a necklace chest. I don't want to say like, oh, only give me like that's, I don't know, but at least the chest will give you a necklace no matter what, and that's like the point. But I want to be able to like, I want to do a few more bounties to make sure
more choices.
Then you can really target farm.
Maybe put the tier on there. Like you want, it randomizes the value of the chest or something. Like, oh, you want a necklace chest? Okay, but that's 14 bounties.
Yeah.
And then you do the necklace chest and then it resets it. I don't know. There's ways they could fix it. Mm-hmm. Again, that's not a super compelling end game activity to me though.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's kind of something that I just passively do as you're doing nightmare dungeons. You get a nightmare dungeon that's in a tree bounty thing, and it actively does it. And then you look, oh hey, I'm 10. Cool, let's go turn it in.
Why do nightmare dungeons not drop obols though? Like really?
I don't know. Yeah,
it's so weird.
It's kind of weird. The obol system is just a shittier Kadala too.
Yeah,
so be real, it's like. It's weird that they copied all those systems.
It's so weird, yeah. It's like they ran out of time. They're like, shit.
Did you PvP at all?
Only once, but not like seriously. And I was like way above the guy's level, so I just like killed him.
So I went into the PvP zone on Friday. So the game launched Thursday night. Friday afternoon, I went in there. It was extremely lucrative farming at the time. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they've changed that since. But it was very, very lucrative. And you get to keep the items you get in there. The only thing you drop is the cosmetic dust, red dust, that only lets you buy cosmetics. So the risk to reward is pretty low unless you're just, your ego, you're worried about your ego. I had a couple people try to gank me right off the bat. I kicked their ass, and it was so much fun. I kept the ear from the very first dude I ever killed. It's in my stash, so I'll forever remember that guy. But I had a great time, and I've actually done it quite a bit. Once I stopped playing and then I got behind the level curve, then it wasn't as fun to have level 100s come in and roll you at, your 75, 80, and a level 100 rolls up like he's gonna stomp you. But it was okay. It was more fun than I thought it would be. I don't think it's a good enough endgame system to be like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do. This is my thing. I did enjoy it more than Lost Ark's PvP though. So
Ugh.
for what it's worth.
Disagree. God damn. This game is like a meme. It's like, yeah, you can build out a dude that will perform. There's probably gonna be like one best way to build it out, but it is still sort of a meme at the end of the day. Like stuff's just not balanced around PvP in this game. Whereas Lost Ark,
no.
they're very
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it's balanced. I'm just saying I had more fun. Lost Ark, the PvP I did in Lost Ark was so edgelordy. Like all people did was hide at the edge of the map, try to stun, miss the stun. Everybody runs from each other until you have a stun. And you're doing that until you finally hit it, and then everybody swarms. And it was like this weird, it just wasn't enjoyable to me. And it's like, if I'm going to play a PvP game, I'm going to play something else.
That's why you do the 1v1v1, baby. That was the only way to play.
And then I think Diablo 4 is kind of the same. Whereas like, if I'm going to PvP, I'm going to play something else. I'm not going to specifically be like, I want to go play a PvP game. I'm going to go play Diablo 4. But that being said, I will find the occasional urge to be like, yeah, man, let's go gank some guys in the PvP zone. That could be a good time. And then we run in there and kill some guys for a couple minutes, and then, okay, Earth out. You know? Yeah,
that's sort of all it is right now. It's like Alkaiser's in there with his like min-maxed PvP spec, and he's like, he either kills people that accidentally went in the zone or like actual PvP or sometimes.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem like fun at all.
And it seems like you're rolling around with your gank squad of 4 people, right? Killing people. I haven't, but I have actually had some good fights. Had some really nice long battles with some rogues and stuff. And it was a good time. So it's okay. I don't hate it. I like the fact that you can farm your loot in there and you don't drop it, so it incentivizes people to go in because it is lucrative. There is a lot of elites, high density. So if you haven't checked it out, and try it and see what you think. Other systems that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, we talked about
Stash sucks. There's no search feature.
Jesus Christ, what the hell?
Stash is limited. Like, why 4 tabs? Like what? Like they
if
played
you copy
D3,
pasted
right?
from D3. Like to me, the stash. Hello, like you couldn't copy paste that, and you couldn't copy paste the Mystic being able to say we real. Like what do you mean? You literally copy pasted D3. It's so fucking obvious, but you couldn't do that. That's
the stash is horrid. You functionally can't have alts in the game.
You can have mules. It's D2 style.
I mean, it's 2023. Why do we not have?
That's crazy.
Why do we have 4 pages?
And we can't even sort like by.
You can't aspects, sort by affix. You can't search by aspect. You can't search by keyword. Crazy. You can't search by class. You can't search by item level. You can't search by equipable. You can't search. There's not a gem stash page to organize. Man, it blows my mind. I'm so frustrated with the stash system. And this is obviously, we saw it in beta, but it's crazy that it went live like that.
Yeah.
So gems are a joke.
Yeah.
Gems are a complete joke.
Who knew fucking all res would be such a dog shit stat? Like, wow. That was crazy. Like, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be the best in slot gem.
Your res is like half your defense comes from your armor, half comes from your res.
No, literally like all of your damage reduction comes from like damage reduction, and armor's good, but even that has a sort of threshold. So armor's good against mobs that are your same level or like within your level range, but it has diminishing returns when you're trying to farm Nightmare Dungeon 100 or whatever with your character. Like armor loses like almost all value, and you're just better off getting damage reduction on gear. But all res literally is like completely fucking worthless. It's like you can get like 40 res of a specific like fire res or something on gear, and it's like it boils down to like 1% mitigation. Like it's actually fucking worthless.
Yeah,
that's horrible. Crazy. And then like putting like single reses on gear is such like fake stat, man. I hate that too. But
I don't like it either. I don't. Gems are bad. What other systems haven't we touched on? Item upgrades are like, do you have the mats? Click the button. Cool.
Yeah. I don't care about that as much. I
don't either. It doesn't really. You're gonna do once you get.
I think it should be
just gonna click.
It should be harder, I think, to upgrade to tier 5 on your armor. Like it should be like, shit, do I want to upgrade this piece? Do I really want to upgrade this piece? Like, am I going to get a better, like, it should be like the same thing. Like, you get aspects and it's like perfectly rose. Like, do I want to throw on these pieces? I think getting something that like tier 4, tier 5 should be equally as like.
Re-rolling can get expensive quickly.
Oh my God. It's like 6 million
like
at level
super,
100.
super expensive very quickly.
Yeah. And it takes hours to get.
So on an end game, this is the ultimate end all be all piece of gear. Okay, I guess. I think it's a little expensive. I think they should reduce the costs a little bit because you're already fishing for the gear for so long. You're fishing for the aspect usually for a while.
Yeah.
Making re-rolling that painful is a little hard.
I agree. Like, you finally find something that has 3 of the 4 stats you want and it's really rolled well. And then you get up to like 2 million gold on the reroll, and you're like, well, I just have to find it again. Like, I can't.
Yeah, you can't afford it. Yeah, you can't afford to keep rolling it. And on top of that, wasting your mats too. Like, okay, well, there's not a hell
infinite. Like,
there's not a no. I'm saying like hell tide, right? Like, like let's say you're out of sacred shards or the roses or whatever they're called.
Fiend rose.
Like, okay, well, there's not a hell tide up. Okay, I burned through all my mats. There's no hell tide up.
Well, that's why you always do hell tide, John.
I know, but that's what I learned, right? You learn that. So like, as soon as you run out of mats and there's no hell tide, you're like, okay, now I'm doing hell tides every single time they're up to get the hell tide mats.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that the re-rolling doesn't show you the other affixes that you can get. Blows my mind.
Yeah.
There's so many quality of life. I'm just gonna jump into my quality of life bitch session real quick. So no stash search. We talked about that. No aspect search. Aspect inventory seems limited to me in general.
Totally.
Too. And then on top of that, so if you don't want to aspect everything because it costs resources and money and gold to extract. So let's say you don't do that. You just store the item. Well, you don't have the stash space to store the item either. So you're kind of limited on what you can collect for alts or alternate builds.
Yeah.
Can't search for talents. There's no armory, so you can't quickly respec. You can't save your spec. You can't preview.
Yeah.
You can't preview your talent build. Like when you mess with talents that's live, like give us a commit feature. Like, okay, let me allocate points and then press save when I'm done. And then it spends my gold. Like,
you can use like a third party tool to plan your route.
But that doesn't really bother me. Of course. But like, why do I have to go to a website to do something I should be able to do in game? That's kind of my logic behind it. Absolutely, you're going to go to a planner.
Yeah.
But why? Like, why do I have to tab out of the game?
Sure.
You can't gear swap if you were to have a talent swap. You need that. Respect
That's a problem
costs,
too, though. You can fucking gear swap inside of a dungeon or whatever. That's terrible. Like, literally,
being
there's
able to
in-game
switch
Lilith strats where you like just bring one piece of gear and she goes to a phase and you like just use that skill plus. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah,
like, that should not be a thing.
I did that a little bit for endgame bosses. Is like I'd have, if the boss is immune to CC, then you get 44% more damage or whatever, right? 45.
And you can literally respec your skills too inside of a dungeon. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, you throw that on. So there's no greater rift lock like we're used to. So your horse gets stuck on fucking pebbles, everything. Like, oh my, there's like a cricket in the road. Your horse will stop for the cricket to cross. Like, it's crazy. It's super frustrating. The amount of mouse position at the edge of the screen you have to run at full speed also, to me, is kind of crazy. Like, it's an annoyance.
Why even have the role play walk as an option on the horse? Who's hopping on the horse to do like a role play walk?
To go slow.
Right.
Yeah.
Stupid.
You can't run in town, which is another, like, you can't teleport in town. You can't run on your horse in town.
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand why. At least let you sprint on the horse. I don't understand why. You can't fast travel to your buddies. Why? Like, we can port back to town to then click the portal to go to our buddies. So you can do it, but why can't we just right click their portrait and teleport to them?
It's sort of like the new Nightmare. Like, it's so like now you can port to Nightmare Dungeons, but it ports to the entrance. So you like zone and then you zone again. It's sort of like, what are you doing? Like, who thought it was like yeah, ship it. That's perfect.
Your party members' health bars go to 0 when they get far away from you. I think I read in the patch notes they fixed that. I haven't grouped since then, so I don't know if they fixed it or not.
Never group, but yeah.
And then here's my biggest quality, one of my biggest quality of life that I think they could implement easily. Let us field salvage. If we're out in a dungeon and we pick up a bunch of yellows and we don't like them, Let us destroy them right there on the spot. Do I have to buy an item that eats an inventory slot from the blacksmith called like a salvage hammer or some shit? I don't care. Just let me salvage on the fly in the dungeon. I don't want to go back to town to sell. I don't want to go back to town to salvage. If I want to keep chain running stuff, let me chain run stuff without having to go to town to salvage.
I'd say don't waste development time on that and just have a loot filter. Fuck. Don't do that.
Yeah, but you still need the mats. You still need mats. You still need to sell for gold.
So you just like have junk that you do regularly.
You can fill your inventory up with one.
Don't waste time on some fucking bring with you salvage. No. Make a loot filter. Jesus.
Let us do it in game. Let us just right there. Open our inventory, boom, destroy it. How fucking hard could it be to put in a destroy button on your bags? It can't be that hard.
No, it shouldn't be that way. You should have to go back to town to do stuff 100%, but there should be a loot filter. It shouldn't be on the fly. I'm like,
I agree. There should be a loot filter.
I can be able to sell to my own goblin or something. Like, no, that's stupid.
No. Okay, that's
the same thing.
Selling
the same
fine,
thing.
But destroying, I don't know.
It's the same.
I don't know. Let me field salvage, man. But yeah, that's kind of my quality of life. Any quality of life things that you think are like, wow, I can't believe it shipped without this feature that we haven't talked about. Bag space is the bag. I haven't compared.
You know, D3. Honestly,
bag space feels worse, but I don't know if it is. It feels worse.
I miss inventory Tetris. I didn't think it was something I gave a shit about, but I do. I think the ring shouldn't take up the same amount of space that a giant two-hander does. I think that should be an ARPG staple. I didn't think until I knew. I feel like that was a misplay, but whatever. It's a console game, so.
It's a console.
Whatever. I think, for me, like, it's not even a quality of life change, but I think the best thing they could do for this game right now is to move vulnerable damage and crit damage to the additive pool instead of being separate multipliers. I think that's the single best thing they can do for this game.
And CC, I think redesign CC.
Yeah, sure, but it's like tiers below the fucking vulnerable and crit damage.
If you change the way that the multiplier and additive damage worked, then you're going to nerf every build quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So are you okay leaving them in that state?
Yep. We shouldn't be fucking like fishing for Nightmare 100 dungeons right now. This is vanilla Diablo 4. We should be like struggling in like 60s.
Let's talk about class balance.
Okay.
Do you agree with their approach? It seems like there were some overperforming builds, and every class had a couple, right?
Sure.
I shouldn't say every class, but
no, not every class, 100%.
Yeah, not every class. There were a couple overperforming builds, and they brought those down.
Yeah, but those are like literally fucking broken. So
yeah, the broken ones I agree with. One shotting Uber Lilith on a Hoda barb for like 100 billion damage or whatever. That's stupid. Yeah. Like, yes. Do you think they should have brought other classes up a little bit in the same token?
Absolutely, or do you think
everything should be brought back down still?
Everything brought back down.
I think it feels bad.
I think like every nerf was absolutely deserved for everything they nerfed so far. Like, no question. And I think that, even having the argument is like, well, they should just bring everything else up. No, that's Diablo 3 mentality, and that's why the game fucking sucks. Nerf it. Chris Wilson, nerf bat. 100%.
Does chat saying that minion builds suck?
No, they don't. Suck? The minion build's insanely OP. We're gonna have a guide for it soon. Anyways.
Okay. Just checking.
He's literally been spamming that.
Yeah. I don't know. I nerfing things sucks. I don't want the game to become D3.
Yeah, but you're asking, like, we shouldn't be as powerful as we are in vanilla right now. We absolutely should not be this powerful.
I do agree with that. But I do think that there are outlier performing builds, and I would like to see them brought back down, but I would also think that other things should be brought up a little bit.
I think that they tried a little with this most recent patch, right? Like, they sort of buffed things that were underperforming. I think that's a promising sign, but at least for the Necro, and I can't speak for all, because literally I've only played Necro. The stuff that they buffed was like, well, they just missed the mark. Like, it's not that it needs like to be buffed. It's just like, it's bad to begin with. So like, it just needs to be reinvented. It's sort of like, like say they kept, I don't know, the Trag'Oul set in Diablo 3 the way it was and just continued to buff the damage. Like that wasn't the damage wasn't the problem.
It needs a whole redesign.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the skills need redesign. I feel like I played Barb and I played Source, and I feel like on both classes there are so many skills that are just dog shit.
Yeah.
In my opinion. They're just bad. They're just bad skills. And even if they did damage, they wouldn't be fun to play. So I think a lot of skills need to be redesigned. I also feel too much of our power is locked in legendaries, and I know that's how Diablo works.
Yeah.
Like that's how Diablo works, but all of our power is locked in legendaries. There's no class power. It's all legendary power.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's the play either. I think that they could have made our classes just have an inherent power, and the legendaries add to that, not make that.
Yeah, they should alter how a skill works, not add a damage modifier to
not
a skill.
Just add damage. Yep, I agree.
I think that the other thing, like we continue to see here that they're repeating the same mistakes, and I think that's probably more of a factor of like the Me Too stuff happened, and they probably literally just lost everyone that had those lessons, like all that tribal knowledge of why Diablo 3 didn't work, why certain things in Diablo 3 didn't work, were sort of just repeated because like there was no one there to say, hey, wait a minute, we tried that in Diablo 3, it didn't fucking work. Like the fact that we're doing like 20 million fucking damage in vanilla Diablo 4. Like, do you remember why like that was a problem in Diablo 3? Like literally the calculations got so high that they lagged out the fucking servers. And we're doing it again.
You can still do that. You can still break the servers. I've had frost. I've gathered up big groups of mobs and then frost nova'd, which then causes auto shards to shoot out. Right. As soon as I nova'd, there's like a pause. It's just like it's a small hitch where it's like, oh shit, I got to calculate 10 quadrillion damage real quick. Boom. And I already thought like, damn, here we go again. So we're in the same boat.
Crazy.
I don't know. What else do we have on here? They get DDoS. They've been getting DDoSed like every other day since Diablo 4 launch. I don't know if you've seen this.
That, yeah. I mean, it's shitty. It's just the shitty way of the world.
It just sucks.
Yeah.
It's kind of all we had on the schedule, I suppose.
No, we got a lot more. Okay.
Oh, PoE. Yeah, let's talk about PoE. Sorry,
we got way more.
Okay, yeah. I forgot about the other stuff. Oh, I scrolled down. I had scrolled past it. I went to my bitch.
Yeah, you went to your thing. Okay, so we came out of the patch, and this is the most recent one, so this is one that we're really going to talk about. So they moved, Nightmare Dungeons, so you just port to them. Don't you think that's a little silly considering it's like an open world? Or like you're like, I don't care. What's the point of having an open world?
Running to the dungeon sucked. Let's just be real. It wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy running the dungeon. I don't think. Did you enjoy running the dungeon? I
think that if they increase the amount of murmurs that those world events dropped, and like you sort of maybe get excited for them more, like running to a dungeon didn't feel so bad because you're like, ooh, there's an event real quick here.
Nah, I just want to do the dungeon. I'm okay with it. It should port you into the dungeon, not to the entrance of the dungeon. I also think that they should give you a hideout. I think they should have stole the hideout concept from PoE.
Sure.
Because I personally think that the layouts of the towns all suck, and I want to be able to customize a layout to have the things I access frequently where I want them. It's a free, not like a free, but I think that's a little bit of a customization, quote unquote, end game thing. And of course, they could have sold cosmetics for it, made money, and then put a Rift device in there, like, okay, I'm opening my keys, it's going to portal me. I'm okay with that. I like the change that they let you port to the Nightmare Dungeon. Just put me inside the dungeon. Don't put me at the entrance.
But, while we're on the subject, it's like, well, at this point, just bring back the obelisk in town that we're just touching.
There you go. That was exactly this started as it's not Greater Rifts, but then
let's make it Greater Rifts.
it sucks because it's worse than Greater Rifts, so let's make it Greater Rifts. Literally, that's what this is. And this is something that we talked about the whole time. The end game of D4 can't be running Greater Rifts. Guess what? The end game of D4 is running Greater Rifts.
And that's fine as long as they add to it.
So, just either put the thing back in town or give us a portal and a hideout. Give us a hideout, honestly.
And now, like, once this game has come out, I sort of understand why they didn't do leaderboards. Because right now, in the state of the game, it would make zero fucking sense. Because you'd have a leaderboard for every single dungeon. So it would be like meaningless. It'd be like, I'm rank 1 champion's demise. Like, who fucking cares? So I don't know what they're going to do with the leaderboards. It's going to be weird. Because if they literally just released...
I don't know.
If they literally just released leaderboard tomorrow, like, some dungeons would be like, who can complete the objective the fastest? Some dungeons would be like, who can get to the boss and kill him the fastest? And you'd be like skipping mobs or whatever, like, depending on the dungeon objective. Like, it would be terrible. The game would be fucking terrible. So that's my number one concern too, is we're going to get leaderboards. And I'm calling it right now. I hate this, but it's just going to be a challenge rift. That's literally what leaderboards is going to be. Everyone's going to get the same exact dungeon.
Yeah. Why not? Like, I mean, it's in D3. Of course, it should be in D4.
Yeah. It's going to be dog. It's going to be dog shit.
They could at least... Yeah, they won't. Never mind. I'm not even there. So...
But yeah, the patch. They did increase Nightmare Dungeon XP, like, which I agree with. Like, they
said significantly.
Yeah,
I've heard
it is.
I've heard
it's like it's really fast now. I feel like compared to what it was. Holy shit! Like, I do one dungeon at 85, and I'm getting like a quarter. Like that's pretty nutty. Yeah. So it's way faster now, which is sort of fine because I think the pacing of the leveling before was fine. It's just that the fact that there's not enticing, exciting things to do as you level. That's what made it shitty. Like the fact that just farming Nightmare Dungeons.
Yeah, the carrot wasn't good enough for the reward of doing it. Mm. Well, how do you feel about dungeon objectives and variety or lack of variety, or however? Let's hit on that, because dungeons are the end game system.
Yeah.
So you go into a dungeon and it's kill all the enemies,
right?
Or get the keystones and bring them back to the lever, or whatever.
I honestly don't mind. I think it's fine right now because it's still new. I could see a point where it gets pretty annoying, but I also sort of like that, when I'm making like a build, like I need to be prepared for the kill alls. Like, when some wraith is off in the background by himself and I don't have great single target damage, or like I don't have anything to do anything to him at range, like I gotta factor for that in my build. I gotta think about those things. I can't just like make a build that's really good at AoE, but like can't do anything versus single target, because then when I do a kill all, like I'm fucked. So I don't necessarily mind it, honestly. I don't like the grouping aspect where you can do Champion's Demise and everyone goes a different route. I think that's stupid. Like the XP shared, like, ugh.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of miss the progression bar of killing enemies to get a Rift Guardian. I feel when I go into a Nightmare Dungeon and I see kill all the enemies, I'm like, oh. I do. I'm like, oh. And to me, it's kind of like, man, it would be nice to get that slay enemies until the guy appears. I can just run through the dungeon and eventually because rarely in a dungeon did you run out of enemies or have to backtrack.
I don't know, because that sort of encourages the Diablo 3 style of, okay, well, let's just get a big juicy pack together. And that's what my build's based around, is just like insane amounts of AoE damage. And that's how I'm going to build my character, and then I have to play for the Rift Guardian.
There are definitely downsides to that. And another downside is we've done it for 12 years, right? I don't want to do the same thing. But when I look at the alternative, like I really do feel that way. If I go into a Nightmare Dungeon and I kill all the enemies, I literally am like, I say it out loud, kill all the enemies. Damn,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Right.
And so I don't know how to fix it. I don't have a better, like they tried to give us variety with the gather the discs and put them on the pedestals and kill the enemies and kill the key wardens and unlock the, so I feel like they've tried to give variety, and that's kind of cool.
I think if there was more variety, it probably wouldn't feel as bad. And maybe we'll continue to get more variety every season, and this will be a moot point. But
yeah.
Who knows?
What else do we got? Patch notes.
They did some, like we touched on earlier, they did some small passes to each class to try to make the stuff that's not getting used sort of perform better. And I do like that idea. I do like that, it took them like 3 years before they figured out to do that in Diablo 3. So the fact that they're doing it in these like first patches, I think is a good sign. But again, it's sort of like, well, for some classes, it missed the mark. But they also kind of touched on that too. Like, well, we're going to do things in the meantime to sort of make stuff that's not getting used get more used. But like, we're going to look at ways in the future to sort of like just make them better. So I think that shows promise, at least.
Yeah.
And that's really the only thing worth touching on these sort of patch notes, really.
The lack of CC addressing to me was, I think that's I felt that way, and I feel like,
but you got to think about,
has echoed that pretty hard.
You have to think about the majority of players like are still in their level 40, like So
really,
yeah,
think?
No, 100%. They released that information. Like most players are still like the majority of players are still in like their level 40s somewhere.
So they booted the game up once. Okay.
So
all right.
I mean, a lot of players just haven't reached that point where they're farming nightmare dungeons at all. So like most players are not in nightmare dungeons yet, which is crazy.
Who do you cater the game to? Do you cater the game?
The majority. Them.
I don't. Do you cater it to the casual?
No. Like good Path of Exile where it's like, fuck that. Let's make a good fucking game.
That's what I'm saying.
But, Blizzard's never had that mentality. Ever. Like look how dumbed down World of Warcraft's been over the years. Look how, Diablo 4 started out. Like they literally think everybody's an idiot. And in their defense, most people are idiots. So, anyways, I thought this tweet was
not if you're watching this podcast.
Yeah,
you are a genius. You got
a big brain, right?
You got a big brain if you're watching the podcast.
I mean, honestly, if you're watching this podcast, like you're probably a gamer that, you go ham. So, like, they tweeted this out, and I want to make this a discussion point. So, they sort of confirmed that only 85 level plus enemies will drop these like really rare things that nobody's seeing, like the Grandfather, Doombringer, Shaco, especially Shaco. And they're meant to be super duper rare, right? So what do you think about this system?
I don't know how rare they are. People are saying they're like ridiculously rare.
Shaco is
like
for sure,
stupid rare. I'm okay with the rare stuff though. I think that always gives that kind of, oh crap, did I just get what I think I got? At the same time, if it's so rare, you're not going to get one the entire season. Let's say you play a seasonal character and it's like that rare that you're a decent player, not crazy hardcore, but you never see one. I don't know. Maybe that's too rare. I don't know. I'm okay with it right now.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I have two opinions about this. So one, like, personally, like, Doombringer, for example, like, I don't like it being that rare because, like, we don't even know that Doombringer is necessarily going to be that good. It's a one-hand sword. It's got a chance to proc shadow damage. It is lucky hit, which is a good thing. But the other stats on it, like, you're just getting flat damage and core skill damage. So, like, maybe you can make a good Sever build out of this. But we're not really going to know because we're probably never going to get our hands on it. That stuff I don't necessarily love being super unique. I think they just did this because they want some things to be super unique. Shaco being incredibly unique. Yeah, please. Like, I think that's totally fine. Because instantly you get Shaco plus 4 fucking all skills.
Yeah.
Like, you're just, holy shit. Like, it's literally like finding a Headhunter or Mage's Blood and Path of Exile, just like it dropping. Like, and I'm fine with that. Like, I think that there should be items like that. And I think that's a cool idea until there's a big caveat, big asterisk next to this, until there's leaderboard. If I'm fucking like fighting this one guy, he's rank 2 and I'm rank 1, I'm like doing the best I can to stay above him on leaderboard. And then he's farming and he finds a Shaco and then instantly he's able to tank rank 1 because he has this crazy, just weird luck that he got a Shaco. Like, no, now I hate this system. This system sucks.
Welcome to ARPGs.
I mean, that never existed in Diablo 3. That's why Diablo 3, the only saving grace for Diablo 3 was the competition of leaderboard until, like a certain point where boss just take over. Like, that's literally that first week of a season is literally the reason I came back time after time.
I agree with you. I don't have have they released numbers on the rarity?
They're insane. Like, Shaco is literally like, you have a higher chance of like falling out of your bed and dying. Like, that's not even a joke.
Yeah, that's too stupid. Like, you should see them. People should see them. So,
And then again, something like Shaco being that incredibly rare, I don't mind. It's the other stuff that I mind. Like Shaco should by all means be like, you know, one person found it this season and then the rest of the season they're just OP. Like, that's great. Like, you know, someone's going to remember that for the rest of their lives. Whatever. I don't care. It's Shaco. It's +4 all skills, chat. Like, that's just too good to even exist. But the other stuff, like, you know, Doombringer, like, maybe that's really good. Like, it would definitely make a build or break a build for sure. Like, I don't think
at least they should reevaluate what items are that rare and which aren't. No. Right. Yeah. You know, but yeah. No, I don't want anything in the game to be that rare. It's just not fun. Like, ultimately, you want to get it eventually. You want to get it in the season, right?
No. I don't think, like, you know, in Path of Exile, it'd be like saying, you know, I'm going to get if I just play all League, I'm going to get a Mage Blood to drop. Like, now there's ways to target farm, right? There's cards, and that's a whole different argument. But just to say that was off the table and you just played all League, there's no guarantee you're going to get a Headhunter. And I think that mentality of like, well, if I play all League, I should get it. I think that's stupid. For stuff like this, like for Shaco. Like, Shaco's literally +4 all skills, and that is just way too strong to even exist, really. It should not be an attainable item, because that means every single build in the game is going to wear a Shaco, and that's stupid. Like, imagine every YouTube guide's like, what's going on? PChild here with a guide. Oh, you got to get a Shaco in your fucking... Like, no, that's stupid. I hate that. Yeah. But these other things, like, yeah, I agree. They shouldn't be that rare.
I don't have a problem with rarity. I you know, this is coming from somebody that's been farming a mountain drop in WoW for a year and a half, right? And still don't have it. So, like, it's okay. Like, I don't mind the grind. I think if you put in the time and put in the work, I don't think that every casual should have it, for sure, right? I think if you let's say, you know, Fluff's got... you know, of playing 90 hours a week of D4 in 3 or 4 months, should you have had a chance to get one? Probably. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your average day casual that plays 2 or 3 hours a day, that's okay if they don't get it. They shouldn't.
Right. I agree.
Right? Yeah.
But again, my
dependent on the items too, right?
Just,
dependent on the items.
Right.
There should be that one. I'm okay with that one item that's like, this is stupid broken. Right. So
I kind of feel like, okay, I'm going to finish my second level 100 netco. And in that time period, maybe I should have seen a Doombringer. I think that's pretty fair. That is a lot of hours played. Do I think I should see a Shaco? Fuck no. Absolutely not. But again, Doombringer is nowhere near as good as Shaco. Yeah. It's comparing, like, you know, like the Spore Guard to like a fucking Headhunter, which I know you don't know what that means, but
I know what Headhunter is. I don't know Spore Guard.
Yeah. Spore Guard is my favorite item in PoE. Anyways, I thought that this was sort of interesting. I want to know your stats or thoughts on this. Is so like Necro, for example, there's a stat on the Sorcerer. You played Sorcerer, so you know this, that there's you know, lucky hit chance while barriered. But I can't even get that on a Necro. But I can play play Sorcerer level to level 25, and then take one of my Necro pieces of gear on the Sorcerer and go reroll and hit that lucky chance on barrier. And I still can wear it on my Necro, and it works on my Necro.
Yeah, I know about this.
Okay.
It's completely dumb. It's ridiculous. If you do more, or I think even in that post that you're reading talks about it too, how the stat rolls aren't even for classes. So I can take the same ring and roll it on one character, and there's a different pool of possibilities than on another. And so it makes targeted re-rolling easier, which is something that we've done in Diablo 3. You know, you would re-roll items on Kadala gambling is just an easy example, right? At the start of the season, you gamble at certain levels to get items.
This is like literally like the getting the Sorcerer chest, because it's the only thing that the Talrasha chest, because it's the only thing that had attack speed. Yeah.
Yep. And so there's different ways that this has existed. I don't like it. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Then it's dumb. It's just a bad oversight. It can't be by design. It just has to be oversight.
Right. I don't think Necros were meant to have like lucky chance while barrier. I think this is just an oversight for sure. I definitely hate the idea of even playing it. Like Sorcerer to me is like just the least interesting class in Diablo 4. So I do not want to play it whatsoever.
I actually enjoyed my Sorcerer more than the Barb so far. to be honest.
Well, I think because barb leveling, like I hear, is not super fun until you get like the stuff that you need. So
yeah, it's not the greatest. But,
but yeah, that's like meh. This was also like, what? I mean, we heard about this, like monster families, but monster families also have we don't know the exact percentage of a higher chance, but they do have a higher chance of dropping particular item slot stuff. So like this particular post really dives deep, and it's like, well, bandits have sort of a higher chance to drop like daggers and maces, and so like you could, target farm nightmare dungeons. Say I wanted like a Doombringer really bad, like I could, farm places that drop one-hand swords for that like maybe 0.005% chance, a higher chance to find a Doombringer. Like it's seemingly pretty weird, but like why even have these? I don't know. I think that's kind of weird.
I don't have a big beef with that, because I think they're trying to stick with like, oh well, we're rogues or bandits, so they're going to be more likely to have daggers or swords. So that's the mentality. Like that's probably where that came from.
But then like a maggot having like helmets, like what?
Yeah, I don't know. So Diablo 4 has borrowed a lot of things from Division. A lot of things from Division. Division has a system where they came out with this later on in Division's 2 lifespan, where on the map, you pull the map up and it had a rotating, cycling, different areas would have an increased drop chance of specific item types. So let's say that you're after, and I'll apply it to D4 terminology. Let's say you're after a wand, a one-hand wand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you would pull your map up, and then it would say, okay, Dry Steppes now has 10% more chance to drop wands for the next 3 hours or whatever. And then you pull your map up 4 hours later, and that's moved. Now it's not wands and Dry Steppes. It's like two-handed maces or something. And so they had this rotating thing that would let you kind of semi-target farm pieces. It actually was very fun in Division, because it promoted a couple things that I didn't really think about until I started playing it, but it got me to do activities that I potentially wouldn't have done prior to. So like if there were, we'll call it a dungeon in Division, there were dungeons, and I was like, oh, I rarely run that dungeon because it's not my favorite, but I would go run it because it had a higher chance to drop the item I was looking for. And so I think they could apply something like that. I think they probably will applying something like that to Diablo 4. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like had a rotation of this dungeon's now dropping this item, helmets, chest piece, legs, and then put that on a rotation, So but I'm okay with it. I don't have a problem with that. And if you're min-maxing that hard to take time to analyze your keys and your dungeons and your mob types to get 0.5% better chance to get the dagger you want, then cool. That's kind of what min-maxing in ARPGs is about.
Okay,
that's fine.
Okay,
I don't have beef with it.
Yeah. I think it's weird, but whatever.
I do think it's weird that it's in there, but I don't have a problem with it being in there.
This I found really interesting. I agree we're probably gonna have the same take on this, but so Lyric, a popular streamer, whatever, he posted like, man, it really sucks that in season 1 we're just gonna have to re-level. It sucks that they didn't find like a better idea than seasons, blah blah blah. And he's like, TLDR, I gotta wait for like World of Diablo, basically to get a game that like I'd want to play on seasons. And to me, I think this is sort of fascinating because like, this is sort of what Diablo wanted. Like they wanted all these new players that have never played an ARPG to come in and play, a game like Diablo, an ARPG. And then, of course, there's going to be this big outrage. And this thing got tons of likes, tons of retweets. People agree.
It's all over Reddit.
Yeah, it's all over Reddit.
This is everywhere. This is, and the popular streamers that came to Diablo 4 that weren't ARPG streamers,
agree.
Most of them share that sentiment. And to be fair, when Diablo 3 was my first experience with seasons resetting your character. So when Diablo 3 implemented this thing, I remember thinking, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
I'm not going to level a new character. This is the stupidest idea I've ever heard of. Yep. Why would they do this? This is dumb. And then I played it and I was like, yo, this is the shit. Right. This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is so good.
Yep.
So I understand why they have that opinion, they've never done it. They just don't get it.
Exactly.
So
and I just found that to be like history
is
literally repeating itself. Like I was the same way as you. Like I heard about seasons, like why would I want to relevel a character? That's so stupid. But now it's literally so impossible to imagine an ARPG where like you don't start over. Like
the funny thing is I bought Diablo 4 for my son as well.
Okay.
And he's 12. He's, he sees me playing Diablo. He's asked to play Diablo 3, but I've always been like, nah, because I don't want to, it'd be hard for him to keep up.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be held back trying to learn and get frustrated. And I just separate him from that game for me.
Yeah.
But with D4, he saw me playing. He's like, man, that looks so cool. And he was sitting in here watching. And I was like, all right, dude. I could just tell. He didn't ask, but he was just like, puppy dog eyeing me the whole time.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'll get it for you. And so I'm explaining how gear works, and I'm trying to teach him the basics of ARPGs. And it was a cool experience. There was a little bit of my fear of him lagging behind and me, like trying not to get impatient and just be like, come on, like explain how stats work and all that.
Yeah.
But to the point though is when I explained to him how seasons work, he's like, wait, I got to level all the way over from scratch. Like it crushed him. Him. He was like, oh, that sucks. And I don't want to do that. So until you've experienced it, and I take that back a step more, because most of us that are listening to this podcast, or us that are hosting and are gamers that have played ARPGs, we understand the mechanics, the basic ARPG mechanics enough that that's not a deterrent and that doesn't hold us back. But when you take a casual that's never played an ARPG and they level this character up, and then you tell them in 2 months they got to do it again, or 3 months they got to do it again, they're still struggling with the basic fundamentals that we take for granted that we understand. We understand how stats work. We understand how gearing works and how to skip gear and not have to ID every piece of gear, what legendary powers we want, how to move your character and attack and shift, attack modifiers, hold still modifiers, push to move modifier, like all these things that we know because we have so much experience, I think we take for granted. So I can see a brand new ARPG player being frustrated and not understanding. Outside of that take, though, I don't see how you don't re-level the character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just thought it was an interesting topic. Did we see like the same thing that we saw when season 1 came out, basically?
So.
Off Diablo topic. This class trailer for Lost Ark came out. It's called The Reaper. What?
Are we done with Diablo? Because we got one more thing.
What's one more thing?
The Quin thing.
Oh shit, you're right. Here, we'll go back. We'll come back to that. So Reaper is a new class, and it's like a big scythe class, which looks pretty cool. And of course, it's fucking Lost Ark, and they just
I missed their combat so
crush animations and combat, and it's just like, god damn, dude. Like,
that class looks dope. This is the first time I've seen it. That looks really fun.
Yeah,
honestly. And knowing how Lost Ark plays, like, damn, dude.
I know. But yeah, that's coming. I think it's coming like October. So this is like for Korea. So it's just like,
I have some buddies that are like Lost Ark fanatics. Like they literally stopped playing D4 because some Lost Ark shit came out. Like, I'm done. And I'm like, dang, it's that good.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah. They love the raids. So.
And then what you touched on earlier, Path of Exile 2 has been dropping some teasers. I think this one was at like some kind of summer game event or whatever. Wow. I mean, this looks super fucking good. Graphically, obviously. But I think the more interesting thing here is there seems to be sort of intent here to like revamp combat. And I don't know, that's just because this is early level stuff, but it kind of feels like between this and like the javelin gameplay that we saw in the last big trailer is that they are sort of gearing towards like the cooldown style system of Lost Ark.
Yeah. I gotta say, I haven't seen this trailer. I watched one of the other ones that they dropped. It looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I threw it at 4K full screen, and even though it's compressed YouTube stuff, right? I was like, okay,
yeah,
like, man, it was competing with D4 in my opinion.
yeah.
Like it's hard to actually say that without playing it, and I'm hesitant to say that because it's Lost Ark. But what I saw in the trailer, I was like, dude, this shit looks
PoE.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. What I saw of PoE, it looked good. I was like, this is really impressive. Like I did not expect them to hit those levels.
Well, okay, so for me, someone who's like, I'm already like, I knew 2 years ago when they announced Path of Exile that this is gonna be the best game of all time. Like PoE 2 is gonna be the best game of all time, 100%. PoE is already the best game of all time, so PoE 2 is just gonna like absolutely crush it. And this just gets me obviously even more excited. I thought the music for this was just like, god damn, they just like
the voice acting was good in the trailer I saw too. Yeah. Actually,
and I was like, oh, the story's this part here. Right at the end, when the logo comes on and like the sound kicks in, oh my God. Like I've never had like a visible erection from watching a trailer, but this definitely did it. Like just the logo coming in and like the noise is just like, holy shit.
Okay. All right.
July 28th. Can't wait.
They're going to give us more info. What do you think? When do you think they're going to launch? 24? Do you think it's going to hit this year?
I would doubt it. I think that, both you and I talked about how like, well, they should really try to beat, Diablo to launch. I think that to give PoE credit, Chris Wilson has a huge fucking brain. And so I think they can take all the time they want, just as long as they release like just the best ARPG of all time, so.
Yeah, they've already weathered the D4 storm.
Yeah.
Like they're behind it. It's already out, and I think it benefits them to wait at this point.
Absolutely,
because D4 is going to kill itself if it doesn't come out with some significant content in the seasons.
Yeah,
and that's just the honest to God facts. Like
sure.
I don't want that to be true. I hope they do come out with content, but if seasons 1 and 2 are content light, what's that going to do for D4? It's going to turn people away, and then PoE's got more runway to steal that thunder. So, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it comes out this year. It's interesting to see what they're going to tell us on the 28th, though.
Yeah.
Like, was that 28th? I thought they were talking about a new season of PoE.
They will announce that at ExileCon as well.
Or New League, yeah.
Well,
yeah, man, it looks cool. Like I'm excited for it. It's going to be interesting to see how they integrate because they said in the past that all of the PoE 1 content is going to stay in PoE 2.
It is.
So it'll be interesting to see how that old content retrofits into the new game and if it's still valid and looks good and works. That's kind of scary to me, thinking that with the mindset of we have to make all of our old content work in the new game. That seems like a big blocker to producing the best game that you can.
I don't know that I don't know. Yeah, I think that like as far as like league content goes, like that's going to be easy to bring over 100%. I think the big challenge here is if they are going to this like cooldown based system to make all the old skills sort of work in this new way, like that might be a challenge.
If they can pull off a Lost Ark combat system, done. It's done.
It's the best game of all time. 100%.
Shut it down. Every other ARPG.
Even if they don't, it's gonna be the best game of all time. But if they do that, like,
it's done.
It's over. It's game over. I swear to God, if you play PoE 2 and you quit after like 4 days, like you did the Alpha, like I'm just getting a new co-host at that point. Like,
listen, man, it's not my fault. You're mad at me that they produced a game with no end game. That's not my fault. It's not my fault.
How am I going to do a podcast, an ARPG podcast, where someone doesn't even play ARPGs?
I played all the end game content. Well, I mean, I did. I played it all. Name a piece of end game content I didn't play. I went in and let Uber Lilith one shot me. What did that content did that give me?
Well, Uber Lilith, get her done.
Have you killed Uber Lilith?
No, I'm waiting for them to
me either.
Shadow fucking Blight being the screen killer. It's not that I couldn't. We could. It's just like Shadow Blight. I can't see anything. I literally can't see anything. If I can't see the ground effects, like what's the point of doing the fight?
Oh, okay. I see. That's why we'll take it. Okay. We'll go with that.
Well, we'll kill her soon. Just minion build could do it probably. We'll see.
Yeah, let's go to the last D4 topic.
Last bit of drama. feels weird to bring it up. And I want to caveat this real quick. This is not a hate for Quin. This is not a hate for Wudijo. But at one point in Wudijo's Diablo 3 career, he was banned, and it happened at the exact same time as a ban wave for bots. And that's all fine. Like, I literally don't give a shit whether or not Wudijo botted in Diablo 3. Like, literally everyone and their mom botted Diablo 3. I think I have a problem with people that bought Diablo 3 and push the leaderboards. But if people like literally just bought Diablo 3 and they're just like using it as, I don't know, some like offline gear farm for themselves, and like they get enjoyment out of that, like whatever. Like, it doesn't fucking bother me. The people that bother me are the people that push the leaderboards and they bought. Those are the scums of the
and act like they don't bot.
Right. And so, when confronted about this, Wudijo said he got banned for using Turbo HUD and not for botting. And I just think it's a weird thing to say, because like literally, and then this, like we've both been playing Diablo 3 for literally decades, and no one has ever fucking been banned for the use of Turbo HUD. Ever.
Yeah.
Like,
who? I can't think of anybody that's ever been banned from just using Turbo HUD. And to be fair, Turbo HUD is cheating like hardcore in itself. It's ridiculous. Yes. Like, you got the whole map, where the pylon spawns are. You have access to information you shouldn't have. It's 100%. insane it's already cheating.
Scummy. Right.
If you're pushing leaderboards and using Turbo HUD, your advantage is so crazy high compared to everybody else. It's ridiculous. But on top of that, like, I don't think anybody's ever been banned for Turbo HUD.
No,
so yeah,
literally not.
Yeah.
I just think it's sort of a weird. Oh yeah, you guys can't say T-HUD in chat. Sorry, like that's a ban word. But
I guess you have to. People are trying to save face, and your prominence, your opinions on things can change. Like, you could have started off as just a guy that played D3 and you botted it and whatever, and then as you started streaming and gaining popularity and decided you could make guides and builds, maybe you wanted to go legit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did that. I fucking did that. So I literally, I will say 100%, I got banned in Diablo 3 because I bought it. I had quit. I fucking quit Diablo 3, and I was using it as like this little offline to get my barb gear. I had some like leap slaying bullshit, and I was like, I'm just going to use this farm, and I got banned. And I fucking deserve to get banned. Back then, like 100%. And I have no problem admitting that. I wasn't pushing the leaderboards. I wasn't one of those pieces of shit that's like, oh, I'm not fucking botting and then getting like rank 1. Like, fuck that. I got banned because I fucking bought it. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. Just own up to it at the end of the day. That's all I care about. I think I think we legit got banned in the same wave, me and Wudijo. So and it wasn't for fucking T-HUD, because I never, literally, I bought it, but I never used T-HUD.
Yeah.
So
listen, so that's the thing. And it's like, if you changed a new leaf and you went legit, that's cool. That's fine. Like, but you didn't get banned for doing T-HUD though. So
yeah. No. But again, this is not that shit. Like, we had Wudijo on the podcast.
I don't really give a shit.
But like, just
like, I don't know why. I don't know why this came to light in the first place. Yeah. I didn't even know this was a thing until we talked about it pre-show. So, because I haven't been watching as much. Honestly, Twitch has been turning me away. The Twitch is running ads, so much ads lately that it drives me absolutely nuts, man. It's so insane. They're ad greed. They're running ads on my channel, and I'm not even fucking running them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just like, people are like, "Oh, hold on, I can't hear you. There's an ad playing." I'm like, I didn't run anything. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Anyway, but I just thought it was funny that this is coming back up, and then it's just, I don't know, like, obviously he's doing super well, and I'm super happy for him, and like, people are going to him like he's this like Diablo god or something like that. But like, I don't know, just say like, yeah, I fucking bought it way back in the day. I made a mistake. I got banned for it, rightfully so. And he came back and still used T-HUD, so it's like, I don't know, like whatever, dude. Like, but yeah, it's a weird, it's a weird take. But that's it. Twitter questions.
What else we got? That's it. That's the whole thing. You got some hates, man. I didn't think about my loves today. True, I forgot that. I forgot my loves.
I got two. I got both. Obviously, rank 1 is Fluff loves ExileCon. I'm excited. I really want to go, but just a flight to get out there is like $1,800. I honestly would pay it if like the PoE guys would literally just like let me in those like streamer like dinners and talks that they're gonna do. Like I would pay my entire way if they just like, hey, yeah, you can come too. But I think that was my biggest shortcoming of going to Path of Exile last con. Like I wasn't invited to go, and that's fine. Like at that time, I don't know that I had that much to offer, but I didn't get to have any conversation with developers, and the only time I could have was playing that card game, and I literally gave my cards away so that I could like skip the line. Like someone was like, hey, I'll let you cut in front of me, or I'll let you take my spot in line if you give me your cards. I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to play the beta thing again. I don't give a shit about these cards, but the cards was the only way to interact with devs. Yeah. I didn't get to have any cool conversations with developers like you do at BlizzCon or whatever. But not that I was, even in that I was snuck in to like, like.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Kill free, didn't sneak you. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Part of me is we were pretty critical on D4 throughout this podcast, and I think in the history of our pods we probably have been, but it comes from a good place of love, and it kind of sucks because there is a little bit of, if I speak the truth on how I really feel, am I going to get invited back to BlizzCon? Am I gonna get shunned and, oh, you're not conforming to the mold of Blizzard is awesome, we love you, and not get invited to things. So I that is constantly in the back of my mind, but at the end of the day, I still just speak how I feel about the game.
Right.
So, I don't chill out to it, and so that's I've even seen people say like, "Oh, Mr. Negative," like, no, it's just I want the game to be good. I love the game. It's just not what we want it to be.
Obviously, we're passionate about it. We have been doing a podcast for 188 episodes, so
right. As far as the loves,
the hates, I didn't do a hates.
Okay,
you got okay, yeah. So love.
No, you go.
Okay,
let me see.
I hate like overused words. Like I feel like people treat these three things like way too light. Like I think we touched on this a little before, but when guys break up with a girl, they're like, oh man, that bitch is crazy. She's insane, right? Like, and those are pretty serious words to like throw around, right? Like that. She's probably not crazy. Like you're just kind of a douchebag. And then the same thing with girls. Like girls will be like, God, he was such like a narcissist, like a narcissist. And that's a pretty serious accusation. And another thing, I ran into this gal that I used to go out with, and I totally even like forgot that I went out with this girl like just the other weekend. And I remember when we were talking, we sort of like met, and then like, I went back to her place or whatever, and we ended up spending like the whole next day together. She had like a pool and all that stuff, and we had fun. Like we had a total blast. And then I left at the end of it, and I was like, send me your schedule, and we'll hang out again. And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll send it to you. I'll send you a picture of it, and we can figure out a day that works. I was like, cool. And so I didn't text her that day. She sent like a picture of her at the pool and was like, wish you were here. And so like I hearted it, right? And then the next day went by and I didn't text her. And then into the next day, she's like you totally fucking gaslit me. I thought you cared about me, but let's be honest, like let's call a spade. Like you just think of me as a piece of ass and you can't even like argue differently or whatever. You're gaslighting me. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like you're saying if I disagree with what you're saying now, that I'm gaslighting you. That's fucking gaslighting. And I even hate the fucking word gaslighting, because you can literally like, if you're arguing with someone and you both have like different opinions, like you could literally just infinitely loop the term gaslighting. Like, I don't know. I feel like people throw things around like way too easily, but that's just my opinion. And obviously saying the word literally is overplayed too, but
this is the portion of the podcast where we switch from Diablo talk into couch meditation sessions with Fluff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Fluff's love life. No. Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. That's a lot to comment back on, but I can agree that people do overuse words like gaslighting, and literally is one of the words that gets me too.
Literally.
Like literally. I'm literally dying right now. No, you're not. You're literally not dying right now. So, for my loves, it's video game season, man. We had Tears of the Old Kingdom come out, which is the new Breath of the Wild Zelda 2. That came out, fun game. We had Last of Us come out, good TV show, good game. We had Final Fantasy 16 come out. So I've been filling my time with that. And then, of course, a little game Diablo 4 came out.
Yeah. So and don't forget about Overwatch.
And Overwatch had a new season. World of Warcraft Classic, Athlete King Classic came out with their Tier 9 content.
Didn't WoW announce like hardcore servers or something?
Hardcore servers are now going to be a thing.
Wow. Let's
so yeah,
further dilute the player base. I love it.
There's a lot of stuff. I picked up Final Fantasy 16. I've played about 5-ish hours of it. Not crazy, but it's very. I'm into it. It's a good game.
Okay.
Man, it's a lot of watching. So it's like the first hour, you probably play like 10 minutes of the first hour. It's like a movie.
I'm out.
So yeah, 100% you're out. But if you're into Final Fantasies, this is definitely probably up your alley if you're a FF player.
There it is.
So but yeah, I'm loving it so far. And then I will say for loves, the new Spider-Verse movie. Did you watch the first Spider-Verse movie?
No, I'm a grown-ass man. It's a cartoon, so.
Dude, get out of here. So listen, the first movie was fantastic. The new one was even better. So listen, if you saw the first one and you liked it, the second one was fantastic. Such a good movie.
Yeah, I know. Like, there's probably so many good things that are cartoons that I don't watch. I just like, for some reason, there is just a psychological boundary.
It is the best animated movie I've ever seen.
I'm sure. I'm sure you're right. But like, there's just something about turning on a card. I don't know, dude. I know it's me, Chad. I'm not saying it's a good take. It's not a good take, but
it's literally a good movie.
I mean, like, I guess I'll watch Little Mermaid.
I'm just overusing the word I just complained about.
I got it.
Okay.
Dude, you're gaslighting me.
I'm gaslighting you right now. Let's jump into some Twitter questions. This is the longest podcast we've ever done, I think.
Oh, shit. Let's do it.
Let's see. First question is from me.
It's from you?
It's from me.
Okay.
It's a question that I think.
Are you going to answer it too?
Yeah, I think so. Do you think they should add raids to Diablo 4 as possible in-game content? And if so, how should they implement a time gate, or do they even have a time gate?
I'm so glad you asked this. There's so many things. I say yes, but like a Guardian raid. So I can go in there with a group. I can go in there solo. I don't want force grouping in an ARPG ever.
Okay.
That sucks. I also think that time gates have no place in ARPGs either. I think that if you want to do some in-game activity like a Guardian raid, there's some farming you should have to do. And then once you do the farming, you can get into the Guardian raid. And if you want to spend all day like doing crazy farming and like be able to do the Guardian fight like 2-3 times in one day because you played 16 hours, you should 100% be able to do that. There should never be like, oh, you did it for this week. Like, now you go level on alt and do it on your alt. Like, fuck that. I fucking hate that. And it's just no place.
But they could also implement time gates like they do world bosses. So world bosses only spawn on a timed intervals, and that's an artificial time gate. It's like, well, you can't do it because he's not there.
But so you're not getting no loot. I'd be like, the comparison of like, well, yeah, it's a time thing, but you only get loot from him once. Like, no, you still get rewards.
I get the World of Warcraft style weekly lockout or 3-day lockout or daily lockout. I think it sucks as well. Then there's the Lost Ark lockout, which is like you get loot the first couple kills, then you have to buy tokens or you have to wait. Okay. Then there's it's not on the map. The entrance is concealed and it's in a cloud and it doesn't appear except for every 3 or 4 hours. Probably better for a D4 style game. And then there's, like you said, which is the PoE style, in my opinion, which is farm the things to unlock the key, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of agree with your take on that. I think that adding Guardian raids that are soloable would be awesome. If you want to do them with other players, that's awesome. I think you should be able to either do it solo or do it as a group. The loot should be the same either way. And I also agree with your no time gate lockout. Put some mechanisms that you can repeat to do as much as you want.
Yeah. And if that takes you a week, whatever. If that takes you like,
and it doesn't have to be like so. And I'll even take it a step further than a Guardian. It could be more advanced than a Guardian. I think the in-game Guardian a raid or a Guardian boss should have more mechanics than anything else we've seen in Diablo 4 at this point. I mean, multiple mechanics. Maybe even have the dungeon have mechanics to it, or dungeon bosses, like raid bosses, right? Like, you go into Destiny raid or WoW raid, a Division raid, any kind of game that has raids in it, there's multiple bosses you have to clear before you get to the final boss. I'm okay with that too. But I think there should be something, and I think that should be a pinnacle end game that's unlocked. I don't want to say at 100, but maybe that's a world tier 4 thing. World tier 3, you get Hell Tides, you get these things. World tier 4, okay, now you can do Guardian raids, or you get something else done to unlock it. Right.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the end game they're missing.
I think that, any sort of time gate is a misplay. I think that forcing players, I don't never want to see a state of the game. And it's so memorable for me as someone who came from MMOs before, playing Diablo. Well, I played Diablo 2, but I wouldn't even really count that. Before playing Diablo 3, full time. As, I would do raids and my character would be so fucking god tier. But then all I really care about is that one time a week that we raid Dungeon X, because that's the only thing that's left for me is to get this particular pair of gloves that drop from this particular boss. And literally the rest of the week, I'm just walking through the motions to get other people gear just so I can have that, I stay in the guild and I have that one chance to get that one piece of gear from that one boss in that one fucking dungeon. And that's all I'm looking forward to every fucking week. And then everything else just feels like I'm asleep. I hate that idea. I hate raiding. The idea of raiding in the current day for me is just no fucking way I'd ever go back to doing that. Path of Exile just enlightened me to how a game should work.
I can see the turn off. There's also other positive aspects to that. I don't disagree with what you said. I think there are other positive aspects, and a lot of it is social interactions too. The people I raid still in WoW twice a week. I raid for about 3 hours, and it's a good time. I raid. The reason that I continue to do it, I think, is more so the people I play with, less to do about the loot. I think it's a good time. I think we have a good time doing it, and then a side effect of that is also I get a juiced up character that's fun to play on. But
I think if Twitch had never existed, I would agree with I want the social aspect of the games. I'll raid with my friends or whatever, and those are my gaming friends or whatnot. But I think now that Twitch exists, I don't think I'll ever go back into grouping in video games, because I can just play the games that I want to play on my own timetable and play with the boys.
Yeah, I can see that. That was the first one for me. The second question comes from Hex. He says, what is your dream scenario for seasons 1 and 2? What do you think is most likely?
Those are just gonna be stark differences. Obviously, season 1, I want a crafting endgame system, I want a new endgame system. I want to see new skills added for every class. I'd like to see new legendaries added for every class. I want to see this giant 15-page balanced patch notes.
Wait, stop it. Okay.
I'm serious. We're talking about the dream here, right? Yeah.
Okay, the dream. Okay. Sorry.
The expectation, and this is going to sound negative, but history has proven that, Blizzard doesn't really make big changes like that. So what I'm expecting is sort of, the early days of Diablo 3 where we would get excited over data mined, on Diablo fans. We'd get a read about at one page worth of balance changes. They're buffing X, they're nerfing Y, and maybe with a seasonal theme is adding some sort of power. That's what I'm expecting. And that would be a huge disappointment.
Yeah. Dream scenario, like you said, PoE level notes, a PoE expansion. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
I mean,
PoE league.
right, yeah. A PoE league. Yeah. because they add mechanics, they add class balances changes, they add new skills, they add so many patch notes that you spend an hour just reading the patch notes they put in. What will we get? I don't know. We need endgame, like really horribly bad. Are we gonna get endgame in season 1? I personally don't think so. I really don't. I don't think we're gonna get a new activity. I think we might get.
But we can reroll an item, a stat on a unique.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm really surprised that hideouts aren't a thing in Diablo 4. I don't know if we'll get those in the first 2 seasons, but I would expect something similar to that very quickly. The reason I think that is because it's going to be an easy cash grab for them at the same time. If they put hideouts in the game, they can sell you cosmetics for your hideout.
Yeah.
And then a revamp on the nightmare system to where you have a portal. But I don't know. I don't know what to expect. My expectations are pretty low for the seasons.
Yep.
So, Captain Bean says, how do you feel about class balance? Do you think they should continue to nerf things for balance or bring things up for power? We kind of talked about that a little bit in the pod. Class balance is an impossible task. I feel no game has ever achieved it perfectly. But
I don't think the mentality should be to bring everything else up to like a top performing thing. Like there should be like a level that they expect. Like I think Diablo 3 had it right where like we want every class to like be able to do like a 130 or whatever. But the problem with Diablo 3 is like, well, we're gonna have one build that can do 130 and like let's just call it a day. Like I think
instead of all builds.
Right.
Yeah, I would like to see faster class balance. I mean, they've reacted to some things pretty quickly. But from what the research I've done, it seems like there's only 1 or 2 builds, usually just one build for the classes that seems to be powerful. And it seems like the design intent when they made the game was that every class had 3 or 4 builds, like clearly defined builds and playstyles based on legendaries, but none of the other ones perform. So my take is for balancing, I want faster reaction to the underperforming builds.
Well, here's the thing, is like you bring up a good point, and it just made me think of this, is that we should be taking advantage of season 0, season 1, maybe even season 2, is we can do whatever we want. There's no leaderboards, right? So like, like let's buff this, nerf X, blah, blah. Because once they launch leaderboards, there's no more mid-season changes. There's no more mid-season balance changes. Like we're locked. So unless it's an exploit, that'll get nerfed. But like, we're not going to balance mid-seasons anymore. So like, let's just play around now while it's like,
At least that's been their mentality in the past. So we're assuming that going forward. We don't know what
if they have leaderboards.
But we don't know what their leaderboards will be either.
Right,
You know what I mean? If it's a challenge rift leaderboard, that's a locked build.
Alta
like
4,
if it's a challenge rift and like we're giving you this necro to play with this gear and this is the challenge rift, right? I mean, we don't know. Yeah, you're laughing, but it's a possible. It's a reality, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So we don't know what we're gonna get, but I want to see really quick class balance reactions. And it's okay to overshoot stuff. If let's say they look at it and they say, you know what, lightning sorceress is horrible, and we want to buff it a little bit, and they overshoot, and now it's the most broken thing. That's okay. Just bring it back quickly too. Like, we overshot this. We're going to tone it back down a little bit. And if it takes 2 or 3 passes to get the balance right, that's fine. Nobody cares. I don't think people are going to freak out as much about an over buff and a nerf than they would just let's have more variety, more things to play. Dirtnap says, what is your take on the endgame CC? Do you feel it needs to be redesigned?
We touched that.
We touched on that one as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We didn't touch it. We drove it into the fucking ground.
Right. Radical Rain says, if you had to rate Diablo 4 on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give it in its current state?
I think that's hard to answer without knowing season 1.
Baby. No. Current state.
It just like we said before this game came out, like everything relies on season 1. I can't in good. So if season 1 has actual content, I give this game like a 5 or a 6. If season 1 is you can reroll, yeah, with content. Okay. If this game is, if season 1 is you can reroll a stat on unique, this game's like a 2.
Oh wow, 2 out of 10.
It's literally just a graphical. It's a graphical update to Diablo 3. If season 1 has no content, this is literally Diablo 3.1.
Okay. Interesting take. I'm glad I let you go first.
Yeah.
I agree. In its current state, I would give it a 6, a 5 or a 6. I think there is some inherent value out of the campaign. I think even if you play it till up mid 70s and get bored, like most people, I think you're going to get your $60 worth, $70, whatever they're charging for it these days. But it's not, I'll say it's a 5 right now. I think a 7 is something that you can continuously play for a while. And I think at 8, 9, or 10 are reserved for like really good games. And I don't think it's at that spot yet. If like Fluff says though, if season 1 comes out and it's in his, dog, then it drops, man. It does. It goes to like a 4. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. The game's biggest attribute is it looks good.
Yeah, the engine.
I don't even necessarily think that the level design is mind-blowing to me either. Like I feel like some of the hallways in the cabin, like
they can keep adding to that though, so like that doesn't bother me. Yeah.
There's things that they can fix, but anyway,
and we saw different environments in the campaign, so I think they already have them ready to go, honestly.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mechanic says, do you think D4 is better than D3?
I think it's the same. I think the itemization is a little bit better than it was in D3. I do think that this game, if we compare Diablo 3 vanilla to Diablo 4 vanilla, this game is infinitely better, but it took 0 risks. It's exactly the same game that they landed on for Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This question rang very close to me because I've actually thought this in my mind. I've literally been playing Diablo 4. Diablo 4 launch had hype, right? Because it was D4. It was coming out. Thursday night, Friday was like, this is the new thing. This is it. You're learning. You're experimenting. Once I got through the campaign and I started doing World Tier 3, World Tier 4, doing the tree, doing the nightmare dungeons, I kind of thought to myself, a Diablo, I had more fun in the last Diablo 3 season launch grinding out the new, what was that new little talent thing called? I forget what it's called. Whatever that new little talent system was that you had to go through. I don't think you played this last season, Fluff, but it was actually good.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Yeah, go ahead.
And I thought to myself, that end game that was in D3, that little talent system, was more fun than anything I have in D4, which is crazy. That's crazy to think that. Do I think it's better than D3? I guess, man. It's new and it's pretty. It's shiny. It's got a nice coat of paint. It looks beautiful. Do I think it's better than D3? I don't know. I honestly can't say that it is.
I mean, crazy. I don't know. Paragon boards, 100% better than Infinite is good. +5 main stat. Like the itemization of Diablo 3, like int, vit, cooldown reduction, crit chance, like dog shit. It's already better than that, 100%. But it's not like light years better. It's just better.
Do you think the play style mechanics and running the dungeons feels better than D3? And I'm not saying that D3 is great. I'm just saying that when you get your build, let's say you're playing Corpse Lance Necro, right? Mm-hmm. And you're blasting, Greater Rift 13s, 16s, whatever they are. I can't even remember now. Let's say you're blasting through them at 1,000,000 miles an hour, going through, just farming Greater Rifts. It's kind of fun. It kind of feels
for sure
satisfying. There's a satisfying feeling to shitting on that Greater Rift that I don't think I have experienced yet in D4. And I have an in-game build. It's put together. It's perfect. I got the pieces. I can dump on stuff. but it doesn't have that same feeling that you had when you're rolling through smoking shit, you know?
I mean, wouldn't you be disappointed though if Diablo 4 came out and we're like speed farming like we did with like Wipe Spear or something?
100%. But I'm going to go back to Lost Ark. When I did a dungeon in Lost Ark, there was a satisfying feeling to using my abilities and cooldowns and smashing things.
Sure, but Lost Ark combat has best in class combat. There's just
I know, but D4 has D3-ish combat. Is it better or worse?
It's
I don't know.
D3 combat.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what I'm saying. So when you sit there and you think about, is it better than D4? I can't say D3 is better than D4, but I also can't sit here and say, yeah, D4 is better as well. Like it improves on things, but it's not. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna say yes, it is better than D3.
Yeah.
But man, it's not a overwhelmingly absolutely. You know, it's like I guess.
Yeah.
So, next question is from Squid Star. He says, "What career would you choose if salary didn't matter?"
I would have like a filming crew and we'll just do like crazy motorbike adventures across the world. 100%.
Like like the bus videos you see on certain sites.
Bus videos?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like porn?
Fluff's got the bang.
I'm talking about motorbiking.
Yeah.
Like crazy. What?
With cameras? Gotcha. Okay. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. Never mind. It was a bad joke. So, what would I choose?
Yeah.
I don't. It's hard to say, man. Variety streamer.
Oh, I
don't know.
I could definitely see you doing that. Jesus Christ.
Variety streamer. I don't know. I don't know. It's a tough question.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything better right now, so I'm gonna go with that. So, Raz M says, "Do you have an actress or actor you watch regardless of the film?"
I really like Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, he's my favorite actor. I will usually watch whatever he's in.
I gotta look up Sam Rockwell real quick. Sam. Really? Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's many other podcast listeners looking up Sam Rockwell. There's a lot that I like, but they're kind of typecast. So I'm a Brad Pitt fan. I guess since Fight Club days, I've kind of always just watched stuff that he's been in since Fight Club. But I can't say I go out of my way to watch his stuff. But if he's in it, it's a plus. Trying to think if there's anybody else that I really gravitate towards. I'm kind of I still watch stuff that has my old 80s action stars like Sylvester Stallone. He's got like new shows. I check his stuff out. And Harrison Ford. I kind of just, I don't know. So yeah, maybe I'll go with those three. Aker says, "Are you excited for anything that's coming in the future? Games, movies, TV series, etc." What's coming down the pipe for old Fluff?
I mean, like, I'm genuinely worried for my health once PoE 2 comes out because I am just gonna
Speaking of health.
Yeah.
Listen. You like, is it an age thing? I'm getting this. So I've for the last 4 months, I've had this forearm pain, like right here in my elbow that shoots up. Yeah, it's a tennis elbow. Took me a while to figure out what it was because I didn't know obviously, and I thought it was maybe like tendonitis or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's mouse elbow, aka tennis elbow.
Right.
They're the same thing. And so, but it's been like 4 months of like pretty tense, and I'm like, damn, Fluff had that arm shit. Is it just like this thing? We're just getting old gamers.
Yikes.
And so I've been like, did a lot of research on it. I've been like doing stretches and trying to lift and do things to like to remedy my tennis elbow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I have so last week I started getting like abdominal pain. and I think you're going to be able to relate to this. I think all of chat will probably, because our demographic's like 35 to 50-year-old men. I started getting like lower abdomen pain. And I was just like, yeah, like whatever. It's just pain. Like I'm fine. Like it'll go away. Like just drink water, walk, do some exercise. Like I'm fine. Like I'm not a little bitch. I don't need to go to the hospital. And it's sort of like, every day it would sort of increase until literally Tuesday morning, I woke up and I was like, wow, this hurts. And then I like went to a meeting, and then I went to the bathroom afterwards, and I literally like peed blood. I was like, oh, like this is serious. And so I went to the doctor, and they're like, why did you fucking wait? So like you have a really bad kidney infection. Why did you wait so long? And I'm just like, I need to stop doing that. Cause like literally like in my 20s, you just fucking tank it. And like, you got to get ahead of these things when you're older. Like
I'm the same way.
Fucking do that.
There's like I would have to like think I was dying to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like there's no.
Yeah. And it literally took like blood coming out of me to be like, oh, hey, I should go see somebody.
It was like 2 years ago. I don't remember. I think we talked about on the pod. I gave you my CAT scan from when I went, but I had this really, really crazy sinus infection. And it was like to the point where I would stand up and I would get like so dizzy and so nauseous that I would like fall over and like I would have to lay down. I literally couldn't move. I would lay on the floor for it to go away. And that shit went on for a week before I was finally, my wife was like, I'm taking you to the hospital. Like, I don't care what you say, like, shut up. And I literally I'm arguing with her. I'm like, no, I'm not, I'm fine. It's cool. And she's, yelling at me to get in the car.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a stubborn male thing.
Yeah.
We have some shit.
I was in like Mexico with my best friend, and like I literally had a night where I was like shivering uncontrollably. I'm like, oh, it's probably just like COVID or cold or something. And I had fucking pneumonia. And I was like going out every single night. Like such an idiot, dude.
Yeah, we're dumb.
Yeah.
But back to so I'm trying to work through this tennis elbow, man. It's been months. It's kind of crazy. Like just to hold my hand out and like stretch my fingers like this is pain in my forearm. Kind of nutty.
Yeah.
So boomer gamers, man. For as far as being excited, things I'm excited for. So the new Witcher series came out. Does the new Witcher series have Henry Cavill in it, or is it new guy now?
No, it's still Henry Cavill.
Is it okay? So this is the last
was just
one.
Like not Superman, right? Like he's still Witcher.
No, he's not Witcher. I think he's off Witcher too.
What?
They've replaced him for sure, but I don't know if it's him or the new guy.
I saw a trailer. I think it was him. Right?
Okay, well then he's not going to be in the next season then. Like he's already been replaced.
What? So. Why would they fucking replace Henry Cavill? What's going on with Henry Cavill? Why do people don't like him anymore? Did he do something? Like what the fuck?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I know that they replaced him with the Chris Hemsworth kid or something.
What?
So
why? He's literally like the best Superman ever, and like he's not doing that anymore.
I loved Witcher, so I thought the Witcher series was fantastic. So I'm excited to watch the new season. I hope it's good. He quit. I think if I remember correctly, he quit because he played the games and read the books, and he didn't like the writing. He thought that they were taking the show in a bad direction, and so he dipped out apparently. But let's see what else. And actually, I'm excited for the new Final Fantasy VII game that's going to come out. You remember when you played that one?
Fucking hell, dude! Worst game. Literally dog shit. Might as well watch a movie, dude.
That's so funny. The last question we have comes from Purple Dragon. Purple Dragon said, "What is the most important attribute that a person could have?"
This is a great question. I feel like I'm off meta when it comes to like qualities I look for in a partner. And
I don't think it has to be partner, but we can go with that.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. That's immediately where my mind went. Okay.
Okay.
So in the past, God, it's almost been 3 years now that I've been single, and I think the biggest green flag someone can have is like when they talk about their ex, they're not. It's sort of like a job interview. Like if I interview someone for this opportunity and all they do is like, oh, my last job did it this way and it was so fucking stupid and blah. Like I would never fucking hire them. And it's the same way with like if all you can do is like talk shit on your ex, like you don't see the lesson. Like if you don't talk about the lesson that you learned or that like how you grew from that experience or how that like you take things in life with stride and like sort of grow, and like that's literally like the whole point. Is if you don't showcase that in any way, like no shot. I'm out. And that's so rare. I feel like it's crazy.
I would agree that I think most people are hurt by exes, right? There's a hurt, regardless. If you're the one that you're still hurt because they weren't the person you thought they were, or they left you and you're upset. So, and then the pain turns into shit talking to them.
That's why you walk away with the lessons and not the baggage. That's what I always say.
Right. To me, I'm going to answer this in not as much of the partner way, but I think it applies. My biggest attribute is loyalty. I think that people are super quick to mold to who they're around, talk shit on people that they're best friends with when they're around. And it's crazy to me the amount of you're around somebody and they're like, "Oh, Fluff, what's up, man? Yo, love you guys. Podcast is great. Blah blah blah." Then they go around somebody else and like, "Man, I don't like Fluff. Yeah, fuck that guy. He's an asshole. I don't, like just loyalty in general for everything." And it doesn't have to be blind. Like loyalty is also being, if I'm a loyal friend to you and I think you're doing dumb shit, I'm going to tell you. Like, I'm going to be like, "Hey, you're doing some dumb stuff right now. Not like, I don't think this is a good decision." That's me being loyal to you, not just being a yes man.
100%.
So, so to me, it's loyalty. So
I agree. I think that it's like staying true to your convictions. Like if I accept you, PChild, as like my friend, like I'm gonna have your back. I'm like you said, like I'm gonna tell you, like I don't think that that's the smart play. Like I think you're thinking about this wrong. Like I would 100% tell you. But I'm also like, if some dude comes up to you and he's like, "You're a fucking bitch," I'm like, "Yo, motherfucker, back up on this." Like, you know what I mean? Like
you're like, "Yo, what's up?" Yeah, I'm with you. So that's it, man. Episode 188, 9, 10, 3 hours,
3 hours,
15 minutes.
15 minutes. The value. Wow.
Best 3 hours of your post D4 launch experience. Better than the end game.
Wow. I mean, more time spent than you did in the end game, I think. So there it is.
I don't know if that's true. But,
Ooh, let's go play Overwatch, huh?
Yeah. Season 5 is great, man. Wow. You want to get on? You can play. I'll let you play ball.
Even
you can have
a
ball.
little bit.
You want to play hamster?
No, he's too easy to counter.
No, not
That's
anymore.
The worst part. It was the saddest day when people just figured out, like, oh, just stop him. Oh, that sucks. I had so much fun playing Hamster Guy for like the first 2-3 weeks he came out.
Hamster has had his ups and downs. He's more of a down phase right now, but a good hamster can shred. A good hamster can.
All it takes is like one guy to switch a class and just stop the hamster. Like that's all it takes. Like, oh, so someone's a hamster. Let me counter him real quick. And I don't have anyone that I want to play. That's the problem I think with Overwatch for me is like if I like one guy, it's like I want to play Pathfinder if I play Apex 100%. Like I don't want to play someone else. If someone counters the hamster, like, well, can I just like lead this game? This sucks. This is no longer fun.
I'm with you. I've got my select favorites. There's like 4 characters that I actually like to play quite a bit. And outside of those, though, if they have strong counters, in seasons where they have strong counters, it's not near as much fun.
Yeah.
And right now, some of them have counters. So it's a couple of my favorites have counters, and it's like, dang, this sucks because the counters are meta and people are playing them all the time. Yeah. So, but I've branched out and learned new characters. I'm actually like, oh, this is cool. I actually like playing this character more than I thought I would. So. Sure. Anyway, had a good time with that. WoW is still my game, dude. The new. Doc Cleave? What?
That's what you're supposed to do when you say wow. You Doc Cleave. Oh. It's a Twitch meme. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't know it. So WoW's been great, man. The new content's fabulous. I'm having a blast.
Is this like live? What's it called?
No. Wrath of the
Retail.
Lich King Classic.
Okay.
It's not retail, it's Wrath. I haven't played retail. The new expansion came out. I played it for 3 weeks and then went back to Classic. They have made some changes to Classic. It's not straight 1-to-1. They added Heroic Plus and Heroic Plus in there.
I have a question just popping up right now, right? Yeah. Like literally you're replaying the stuff you already know, right? You played for years and years and years. But you couldn't be fucked to play Diablo 3.1 for more than 2 weeks. Like, that doesn't make sense to me, dude.
Because it's more fun. That's the problem. It doesn't make sense to me either. How did they launch Diablo 3.1 in such a state that I'm bored with it in fucking 3 days? Okay. It's not my fault. It's literally not on me that there's no end game. It's not my fault. I don't understand why you're blaming me.
I'm not blaming you. I don't understand the mentality of like, well, it doesn't have what it has, and I'm an ARPG gamer, but I can't be fucked. I want to go play Overwatch.
It was more
wild.
Fun. It was more fun.
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
Fun is fun. Grinding the tree is not fun.
Okay.
Listen, you can grind that tree all day if it makes you happy, sir. I'm not knocking you.
All right. Is that it?
That's it. Episode 188.
Easy.
You guys want to catch more of me, follow me on the Twitters.
Yeah.
Every now and then I stream, but I'm a dead streamer, so it's okay.
Variety streamer now.
Yep.
All right. Peace.